Why?
Well, and Hyper first to last. I'm not really sure what's going on with their game plan. YKG and Extreme Slayers up there in the top five of the leaderboard, but these international teams came to play.
Yes, they did, Dave. And then we saw them. And we look
But
at ATON, two chicken
mhm.
dinners off the rip, intense game, finishing it off with a clean sweep to Turkey, 3 in a row. How do you feel about that?
Hey, I'm feeling good, man. They were pretty exciting games last week. Now, when we're looking at teams from North America, I'm looking at my team from last season, the Zombie Boys NA. My dudes got, I think, what, 5 points in total. But
Let's
listen,
go.
a big surprise for me, Hot Jukes, and Hyper, 15th, right above the Zombie Boys NA with 7 points. So, and Hyper definitely catching me off guard, at least from last week's performances.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've definitely noticed a big difference, right, from Hyper's performance from seasons past till now. Now, we've definitely seen, right, Hyper be that late league stage team, right, Enigma? So, like, what do you think they have to do different coming here to week 2?
Well, I think just need to keep talking trash about them because I remember last season you were like, they fumbled short on Americas. Like, I'm really wondering if they're going to perform well and they come out and, win 5 chicken dinners in the qualifiers, do all this sort of stuff, almost double second place in points. So for me, someone's going to need to, put the fire under their seat when they're playing to get them going.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I mean, it's kind I think they got to be definitely bummed out, right? Missing PMWI had to hurt for sure, right? So hopefully, we had a rough week 1. I've always said that, I give them a little bit of an excuse punch card, right? Let's take a look at some of the replay from last week, Dave, as it was just, man, international teams making it happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's the strat too. Just survive that late game, keep the numbers advantage, and then just use that vehicle to just play the ultimate distraction. Get the run over, get that intel, and allow your 3 teammates in the back to just seal the deal. It was beautifully done last week, and I have to expect we'll see that again this week here.
Man, that play was so sick. I thought we were going to see that 1v4, and it just didn't happen right there at the end. ATON Esports getting a nice couple chicken dinners off the rip. And then, of course, intense game, cleaning it up with that 3 in a row. How is that going to help them coming into this week here, Enigma?
Well, I think it's a lot of just, getting that sort of blood flowing and the motivation of, like, okay, guys, we are a team that is, really in tip-top form and shape, and we're going to be able to just, show up and just not really have to worry about not being in that top 10, 12, the number that we're looking for you to move on to the final sort of gameplay. But some of these other teams, like execute a team that was in a lot of spots going on, especially this last match, which is heartbreaking to say the least. A team that had, the high ground, the positioning, got the kills onto Intense Gaming, hitting the nicest rotation you've seen probably in the first week of gameplay. But for the results, I mean, it shows for themselves. Mostly international teams in the top 3 across all 4 of the maps. And like ATON Intense Gaming really just showing up and showing out.
Yeah, beautifully done for them. Now, Dave.
Hey, what up?
Talk about momentum.
Woo,
right?
baby.
Momentum, right? Out of these 2 teams between ATON and Intense Game, which squad do you think has the most coming into this week?
I mean, for me, we took a week off, so that definitely plays a factor in the momentum. But I know for a fact Intense Game have been just grinding all the scrims and just in the pubs, as the 4-man unit, just preparing and staying loose, staying warm. So I'm going with Intense Game here this week, Got Jukes.
Ooh, I think that's a pretty good decision. I mean, yeah, look at that. On top of the leaderboards, 57 points. Looking on down the line, I think Loops has a big opportunity, too, to make things happen. Now, we've seen before, from your experience, Enigma, right? From a team that starts off really strong. We've seen a team that have a performance like that. They're usually the most studied squad coming into the next week. Do you think that's what's going to be the case here in week 2 for this team?
Oh, of course. And, just being that sort of top team, especially from your region, if you're playing, in these sorts of PMPLs after this sort of tournament, I'd be studying them every single day, every night, every game is just a breakdown with every 4 people in the squad. Because the main thing right now is with these teams that are, on top of the leaderboard is if you don't perform this week, what's your mental going to be like going into the 3rd week and then into finals play? Because you've essentially secured yourself into that finals portion. But if you don't perform at the later portion of the qualifiers, what are you thinking as a team? And for me, it's a lot of just, okay, like, are we going to be able to, like, just mental reset, wipe everything off the board, and just go and clean player game? Or is it going to be weighing in on us like teams how I feel like Hyper maybe is one of those teams that just lets it weigh on to them? But I mean, only time will tell for that.
What do you think about that, Dave?
Oh, I couldn't agree more. And Hyper, we've seen this team really hot or cold depending on their performance. You know, if they have a really good game, the next game, most likely they're going to continue on with that consistency. But like mentioned, 15th place, only 7 points. It feels bad. I just want to remind everybody, why is Dave always talking about Zombie Boys NA? Well, last season, season 2, listen, season 2 finals, okay? It speaks for itself. They finished in 2nd place, and one of their main strengths from season 2 at least was their ability to just survive, you know, kind of play that rat strat. And they're the only team that were consistently just going for those plays, just trying to survive and not take the fights. We even saw a couple games, they all scattered in their own individual little directions and just played for the end game, played for those placement points. Now, I didn't see it last week, but I want to see the return of that here again today. I know a lot of people were kind of memeing on it, on that strat, because we want to see like guns ablazing, M249s just letting it rip. But I got to admit, it worked for them in season number 2.
Oh, and not just at season number 2, right? With the big show, right? In the finals. So that's how you get it done. And it makes sense why you're keeping an eye on that. But you know what? We've been talking a lot about different teams and their performances. But I think it's time we talk about individual player performances here, because we do have an MVP title given out every single week. And last week it was Adrian from Intense Game. What do you think about his performance, Enigma?
Sheesh. I mean, like, the damage itself, 1,500 damage. We're talking only 4 games, dividing that, you know, a little over 300 damage, 400 damage, whatever the number may be. Survival time is another big one, too. I mean, if we're taking the games about, you know, 25, 30 minutes each, he's staying alive for, you know, 3 out of 4 games, and they only won 2 of them. So for him, you know, having a player of that caliber on your team is just overall going to be able to making your team last longer. Someone that's hitting shots, that's staying alive, someone that you can lean on when maybe you're not feeling so hot is just, it's impeccable.
Oh, yeah. You know what? You know what else is impeccable? That 5,000 UC he got.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. 5,000 UC awarded every single week for the MVP. He got it last week. Can't he go back to back? Dave, I know that you were looking at Intense Game today, so that's going to be interesting to see. But you know what? I think if we take a look at the maps that we're going to be playing today, we're mixing it up, right? We're going with Arigale, Miramar, Vikendi, Enigma. I know that is a map that you love.
Yeah,
correct?
my favorite. Now, get that out of here. Get it out of here. Get it out of here.
Oh, man. But Dave, my question is this. What is the percentage chance that we're going to get a water circle in Vikendi?
For end game or like in circle number 1?
Right off the rip, baby.
Right off the rip, baby. At least a 65% hot chip.
Ooh, that's what I'm talking about. Good odds. What do you think about that, Enigma?
I mean, I remember playing when you guys were casting the Vikendi game where that was water. So, you know, definitely not my favorite experience to say the least, but definitely entertaining. I mean, the game that we had played was more so just like someone had a jet ski and then they flipped it and then everyone was just in the water trying to flip it back over to kill everyone. So a little bit of an interesting map. I know a lot of players do like that.
All right. Well, you know what? We're about to get started here today, guys. I know y'all guys are really excited. I want to hear, of course, your predictions. You know, a lot of changes. We got Vikendi playing. We got some DBS shenanigans going on now, right, Dave? How do you feel about that going in here? What are your predictions?
Hey, I'm feeling good, and I'm going to have my eye this week on Passion Fruits once again. I want to see how Sixless is able to contribute to the team as an IGL, because there's a lot of ex-Panther players, and the Panthers were a pretty hot team last season. So I'm looking at the Passion Fruits Esports here today, Hot Jukes.
Hey, when in doubt, yell louder, right? We'll see if that ends up working for him. And Enigma, quick prediction.
Gotta be loops. 1v4 last week. They're doing it this week.
All right. Well, you know what? We're ready for game number 1. Let's go ahead and take it on over to you guys. Y'all got it. Get it done.
Hey, what's up? It's you guys bringing you game number 1 here. I'm looking forward to it. Week number 2, Titan Series season number 3. My goodness, we are just chucking along here. So, Enigma, how are we feeling tonight?
Feeling all right. I mean, last week was a little, you know, I wanted there to be games the next day with how those games were going. I mean, we saw loops with the last match hitting the 1v4 onto unfortunately, and Hyper. But, you know, seeing a lot of really good plays coming out from some teams. Intense Gaming with insane rotates, stuff like that. We're seeing a lot of people that I think should be performing. They're not. So this week, you know, it's going to be time to tell on if they've put in the homework, they've put in the work themselves, like you said, with Intense Gaming. But as we're saying that, the map, pretty decent playing path. I kind of like it whenever it goes over the middle of the map. You can kind of go everywhere other than like Primorsk or Kameshki, but who goes out there?
Map it up, baby. And I'm kind of looking at it from this perspective. I'm looking at the overall leaderboards, and you were talking about the 1v4 from Loops and Hyper last week. If a team on the bottom can't pull it together, I'm looking at Ace of Spades, Black Mamba, and Hyper. I'm going to be really concerned for them come next week, because I feel like these teams at the top leaderboards, they might start to kind of farm them up and go for some elim points here early on. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, if you're a team like maybe like YKG, where you're confident enough coming out of this week, going into the last week, and you see N Hypers at the bottom, I would almost be going for some sort of mental warfare, you know, drop on them, take the fights, because PMPL is right around the corner. We're going to be going from this tournament almost directly into that, and it's like if N Hyper doesn't even make finals, I mean, the mental blow is probably just going to speak for itself. So some of these teams, you know, YKG, PASSIONFRUIT, kind of in the middle of the pack. They had a few kills, few placement points, maybe pull it through now, but they're also a team where it's, you know, they're in a spot where they could drop down. It's not like they're, you know, secured yet with 2 weeks of gameplay left. As we're seeing another 3-team drop into Yasnaya. We saw it last week. Same exact teams, I think, here. So
yeah, I love where you're going to, that mental warfare. Such an interesting topic that we don't really talk about much. But going back to Yasnaya, you got PASSIONFRUIT somewhat in the middle. Looks like YKG are going to be pulling off this one. ATON also in the mix. So I think YKG, they were looking to drop here. They said, no, thank you. They saw all those parachutes. So they went out there to that east side. But my goodness, ATON, that is a team that I do not want to find myself sharing a drop with here in game number 1.
Yeah, I mean, we're seeing the gun layouts. We're seeing a DP, an AK, a UMP. Definitely guns that if you're not having, you know, the 1 helmet, maybe the 2 helmet, you're getting 2, 3 tapped with it if they hit their shots. Now, the key point is from this week compared to last week is PASSIONFRUIT does not have full control of the north side of the road. So we do see INF possibly being able to rotate around ATON. But right now, you know, it's just a matter of what PASSIONFRUIT chooses to do. If they're going to try to clear out Federal that's on the north side, or if they're going to maybe just going to leave them and let these 2 teams battle out. Because like I said last week, the car situation is going to come into play at some point. You're going to have to drive around. You're going to have to make these rotates. Luckily for them, I think the zone is on them slightly, so it gives them a little bit more breathing room. But shooting a question at you, if you're INF, are you a team that almost just books it down the road and tries to escape? Or do you feel like you just have to take this sort of fight?
I mean, they got the zone going their way, right? And the chances of circle number 2 shifting to the west are pretty high. So they might actually be in a good position to just hold it down, set up their angles, and possibly even gatekeep. I see Little Boy going up there to the hilltops to maybe get a higher vantage point. Might be able to square up with Zuko from PASSIONFRUITs. But I think the team, honestly, in the most danger, in my opinion, has to be PASSIONFRUITs, just because of YKG. YKG, remember, they overshot Yasnaya, so they're out there on the East Coast, but they're eventually going to be looking to make their way in, and they might have the opportunity to get some sightlines on the backsides of PASSIONFRUIT, who they're going to be concerned with the city.
For sure.
Looking ahead.
Yeah, and I mean, the key point is I didn't even think of that as YKG. If they did, you know, do their homework, they know that these teams, maybe they'll wait for the kill feed to pop up when these teams really start going at it. But if I'm PASSIONFRUIT, I'd be kind of worried where Zuko's at right now. He's holding this, like, north side of the road. If he gets on the roof, INF, the player you know that's up onto the hillside, might just get a free knock and opening, forcing PASSIONFRUIT, and who has, in my eyes, the best spot until YKG pulls up. To take this sort of fight, but we're seeing right now INF is trying to make some sort of play. They got the car out of the garage, so they do have 1 whip. ATON going for a few Kobe's, does a little bit of damage, but I'd be kind of worried peeking these windows. You see the INF member. Oh!
Oh, man.
Sitting on the nade.
I mean, this is for free, right? We see the smokes out there. Sure, we don't know exactly where the opponent is, but you have a good idea. So you're just kind of going fishing there with the grenades. And right there, I mean, we're talking about the money. Now we see the buys in, the spray out right there, trying to get the confirm. I do not know. Are they going to make the push? Yes, it looks like they're going to be sending 3 on the off angle. Moving as a unit, using that broken wall for cover. So we're looking for a fight here, Enigma.
And I mean, Bruno's taking a lot of damage from Federal on the wall. Passionfruit moving up instantly as well. So this is all a time crunch, Dave. A little bit of a Kobe. Oh, a little far, but they are working into the building. INF in a really of a crunch spot right now. It's a matter of who hits who first and who's able to hit those CQC movements better.
Yeah, definitely a crunch here, and I'm starting to look at the utility. I'm starting to look at smokes, Molotovs, grenades, and even ammunition, because these teams did drop off right on the rip, and they didn't really have that much time to go for that loot, right? So, yeah, be interesting to see pretty much who runs out of bullets first, right? And who can hold down their spots without overextending, because remember, passion fruits are also in the area.
Yeah, and Passionfruits, I'm not sure. They definitely heard the ATON member in the apartment building in front of them. But are they going to try to push and clear it out, saying, you know, we know these two teams are right next to each other. We could take the solo out and then take the most advantageous position in this sort of fight. But seems like they're just kind of putting their eggs in their own baskets, taking their time, clearing it out. And ATON, you know, a lot of just really heavy-hitting guns. I think Bruno's in didn't even have a helmet.
Nope.
When he had dropped, so you talk about the ammo. One of them was reloading a pistol. I wouldn't use that.
Yeah, you know it's rough. You know it's rough.
I'd almost punch him at that time, but you know, a lot of it's just sitting down. But Six is getting an opening knock from the apartment building. It seems like Loran forgetting there's another team. Nitsu too. One on each team knocked. They definitely know, of course. It is the vague kill feed info, so they don't know which team is which number, but they know they've knocked 1 on each. It labels it as player 1 or 4 to team 7 until they get the finish. So it's a matter of if Passionfruit can actually clear out these solos. Juco in a really good spot for his team if Passionfruit doesn't clear them out. But I mean, it's a matter of who makes a mistake first, I guess you could say.
Yeah, and passion fruits, they're definitely going to be coming in more kitted. We can see mostly everybody on the team has level 2 gear. Sixless had like 300 bullets of 5.56 reserve, so my dude's ready to run and gun here. Also has a lot of smoke, so if they want to make like a little smoke tunnel to make the push across roads, say they do get another knock, we might see that coming through. But they did inch their way ever so closer, right, to the back ends of ATON here.
Yeah.
So that was still a winning play for Passion Fruits, just to get a little closer.
Yeah, I know with Passion Fruit too, a lot of their game plan involves just playing by the book. Let's just wait for someone to get killed, wait for them to third party, and then go in. Let's not try to force our hand at least onto someone else. Let's just keep chilling and doing our thing. They do have the most amount of loot. We don't want to give it over. But last week, I mean, they were the team that was in this spot, and they just fumbled in the 4v2, I think it was. Valak, I'd been told, had some sort of gyro bug where he wasn't able to move his screen, unfortunately. But, you know, there are 3 other teammates on his roster. Not sure what's going on with them, but
we need that that meme in the chat, by the way. Gyro bug. Every time,
gyro bug, yep.
Lose the 1v1s or whatnot. But looks like the push from ATON now, at least on the little boy in the smokes. Got a little DP spray. Gonna get the initial knock here as ATON moving as a unit. Looking to clear out every single room here, because guess what? Next circle pops and Yesnaya no longer in the zone. It's like Passion Fruit's actually going to be pulling off of this one here.
Yeah, I think they're just going to play for the zone. And we talked about YKG. They're holding basically Stalber Mountain up to the northeast edge of the zone. Might be able to come into Passion Fruit. I don't even know if Passion Fruit grabbed any vehicles. So maybe we'll get caught out if YKG chooses to camp them out. And Hyper knows they're fighting out there. Checking it out, getting a little freebie kill. Oh, never mind. I don't even think Hyper got that kill point. I want to say
Hyper
ATON
in the zone,
able to,
by the way, with a nice little gatekeeping position on pretty much everybody from Yesnaya. So Passion Fruit's pulling out early. I really do like that play, as long as they can avoid YKG. But ATON up here up close and personal. We see little boy. This is going to be a DP, but he can't even get the shot because from behind, Law laying it down with the AKM.
Yeah, and he knew that there was someone probably there. It's just you wanted to confirm it, and at that point, it's just you're really putting yourself in harm's way. Little boy getting the nade finish, 1 down on each team. PASSIONFRUIT now, you know, they maybe waited another 30 seconds. They could have just picked up all these kills. You know, was catching one out, trying to vault in. 2v3 situation. Juco is still kind of out of the fight, so essentially a 2v2 going on. But NHyper looks like they're starting to creep ever so slowly closer. Same with PASSIONFRUIT. They didn't even go for the car spawn anymore.
Coming back. PASSIONFRUIT are coming back, man. I mean, the indecision right there from that team really has me scratching my head. But little boy with the DPS through the doorway saying, sit down. Gonna be getting that confirmed.
No vest on little boy. Not sure if he's really feeling the push on this. He does have the DBS, but PASSIONFRUIT, this is essentially a 4-team fight, 4-squad fight now. Zuko, I'm not sure where he got knocked, if it's inside the wall or running in between, but hopefully he doesn't get finished.
Uh-oh. Ooh.
1v1.
Wow. So close.
He didn't stick
Looking to investigate that room. Very interesting play.
Ooh!
Jumping out the window. Almost made the great escape, but was caught off guard from behind because guess what? We were talking about him. PASSIONFRUIT showing up for that third party.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just complete mayhem on this edge zone. Law winning the 1v1, thankfully. Missing the shoddy shots, but has the DP and the AK. Looks like they will get the reset. One PASSIONFRUIT member is right next to him. Maybe we'll hit a Kobe or something through the window. NHyper, the team that I would not want to be gatekeeping me because they will hold you till the end of time, and that's tragic.
Little boy going out. Okay, we're getting the heal off, so we'll have to pay attention to the kill feed. I mean, really, at the end of the day, did anybody win that? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we got a couple kills, but regardless, you're going to be gate-kept by at least 2 teams, and you're probably going to be taking a lot of damage from Papa Blue. But over here, NHyper in the smoke because they were trying to get that third party, but I believe Sixless had a nice little knock on one of the teammates, and now Sixless staying in the back end, kind of playing the Guardian Angel role, allow their teammates to push into the zone. I love that.
Yeah, and Sixless has always been that sort of player where his team will be making a play, and he's able to, you know, kind of be that eye in the sky, that eagle view, be able to direct his team into just specific spots. Some people like the micromanaging, other people don't enjoy it at all. I personally always like giving comms, and it's a matter of player versus player, but Juancho, Daddy Juancho coming in, hitting a little one-tap-a-roni on him on the wall, but other parts of the map, SLR getting, I believe, wiped out by C4. C4, a team that I think is always a team that doesn't really perform well in the qualifiers. You know, they get into that top 8, 10, 12 placements, maybe in the top 4. But when it comes to finals play, they've got it down to a science.
Yeah, what? They won Season 1 finals and Season 2 finals, and I believe that's all by design. They let everybody sleep on them during the qualifiers as long as they can make it. And the reason being is because they don't want people studying their VODs. You know what I'm saying? They want to go up to the finals just, you know, fresh and looking good. So G4, we see them in the mix over here. Looks like Black Mamba, IG, and even Team Jaguar. So we got a lot of teams all kind of huddled in this general area.
Yeah, and the issue is the only team that's really going to probably be able to pull out of this compound safely is Black Mamba. Everyone else, as soon as they get out of this compound on the south side, they've got people holding the bunker above them. They've got the other team right next to them in the compound. You're basically stuck here. So it's one of those, you know, do or die send plays that teams make where they're hoping the zone ends on them. And if it doesn't, then you're kind of just screwed.
Yeah, we're starting to see so many kind of hot areas right now on the map. We got the northeast where we're looking over here, and then we got the east side edge, kind of a hot pocket as well near Potato Hill. So for the most part, a lot of the teams are going to be just jammed on top of each other in a little spaghetti action. The only team with a huge buffer between them and everybody else right now has to be Loops Esports, so we'll see how they play that one out. But MEZEXIS looking for the push on Ace of Spades.
Well, nade opening knock, pushing in. There's a few of them on the ridge still pulling nades. Baton trying to take that spearhead move. UMP in hand. I'd like to see some sort of pre-fires. Get the confirm.
Got him.
Smokes everywhere. Just start spraying, Dave. Woo! Jumps out of the front, doesn't knock him with his back turned. He's coming and gets the opening onto Baton, and I think they about to do the 2v4 on him.
One more pop. Oh, right there to the dome. Once again with the DBS, baby. When in doubt, DBS it out. That's a confirmed victory right there on their end. C4 still in the mix, kind of playing nice neighbors for the time being, but all these teams, they need to reposition because this is no longer favored in the play zone. And I see a lonely SLR player with an Uzi and a grenade and a dream to survive right now, Enigma.
Yeah, and he gets
nice
the
grenade.
open grenade knock. Looks like he's doing it. Has to hit the 1v3 on a C4 with Black Mamba spraying through windows. Doesn't get it, unfortunately. Does get to confirm. Gets an extra placement, or at least extra point in general. But Black Mamba, I'm not sure what vehicles they've got. C4, luckily, only have to go about, 100, 200 meters into the zone with people, shooting them, of course. But
easy.
A lot of these teams, having to make the rotate in towards that Potato Hill side. Nova, right as we were swapping off of MEZEXIS, I believe, pulled up onto that east side. Finished that sort of fight, getting themselves a spot in zone. But a lot of these teams, we're seeing a lot of pairs around the map. Just people losing members either on rotate or just early fights. And I gotta ask, if you're this team like YKG, Execute, where you've got 4 players up, do you honestly just wait for the zone to just get smaller and smaller and then force these fights on the edge of zone? Or do you usually just play more standard where it's you pushing people back and trying to take as much space as possible?
Oh, I'm big chilling, man. And YKG are doing just that in the south. They're just big chilling. They're going to be trying to survive as long as possible. Here comes Black Mamba, though, on the roll-up. One of their players catching a grenade is going to be finding Sixless the solo. Passion Fruits, the jukes and the jives right there. Sixless almost surviving to live another day, but was eventually caught off guard. And I gotta say, Passion Fruits, they took a lot of damage from the blue zone moving on in. So their timing might be a little bit off, but they have 3 points here in game number 1, as we're gonna be still looking at Cat God from Black Mamba trying to hold it down right now.
Yeah, and we're seeing, Zombie Boys on the northeast side of them getting sandwiched by Jaguar as well. So not really in too favorable of a spot. He does have his vehicle blown up for some sort of cover. But Jaguar, a team that's got 2 players up, a team that I feel is confident enough to even make those sort of rotates along the edge of the zone to pick up these kills, to at least even the odds in these fights. Because if you're a team that's intense gaming, Jaguar, just like that, you're wanting to make sure you confirm knocks and kills and kind of even up the odds for you to take these fights. Because if you wait, you're on the edge of the zone, at some point or another, you're going to have to start shooting your gun. If you don't hit those shots, then you're basically just, you're a stick in the mud at that point.
Yeah, nobody likes to stick in the mud. And talking about sticks in the mud, we got Extreme Slayers, the 3rd place team coming into tonight. They're going to be on top of Potato Hill with some pretty solid sight lines, because besides them in their centralized location, everybody else here, Enigma, on the edge of the play zone, just trying to survive a little longer. This is a prime example right here. Kindness from N-Hyper with the Uzi. Can we 1v4 Zombie Boys? Can we backstab, get a elim on the side of N-Hyper? Or we're going to just be creepy crawly here and try to survive a little longer.
Well, it is only 2 in the compound next to them, so if they decide to rotate out of the compound, I'm not sure if it's in or not. Can't really see too much on the mini-map, but could either take the fight with Zombie Boys, possibly nade them out. I know a lot of players at this high level play, when they snake behind a team, they'll usually go for a nade knock first as to get an opening. It's hard to really tell where a nade gets pulled from, but Execute trying to clear out a side of this zone to play in, knowing that I believe it was Extreme Slayers, you said, on top of the mountainside, trying to just clear this edge. They know there's a lot of teams that have suffered loss, but Loops, a team that's quiet, looks like they're going to try to just fight Extreme Slayers on top of the hill.
Yeah, Extreme Slayers have 3 limbs. Oh, Kindness going to be popping up from behind, getting the confirm onto 1. Now it's up the Blinky Bake 2 with the DBS and the grenade here. Looking for that perfect cooked chef's kiss. Kindness going to be popping up with the Uzi spray down. But Blinky going for the repeat, has another grenade in hand. Trying to get the connection here. Kindness not even scared, Enigma. Going for that heal.
Yeah, I mean, he's just playing cool. He's trying to just play it out. He knows that he's got the lip, but my only issue is just a matter of what Zombie Boys chooses to do. Goes for the little Kobe nade, and he's actually up onto the ridge now. He knows he's out in the building somewhere.
Kindness has this. I feel like Kindness has this. Getting a lot of intel. Blinky still with the grenade in hand, but look at that. The grenade. The third one. Third time's the charm right there. Kindness eliminated.
Third time's the charm, baby. Now Loops up the hills, sort of, I guess you could say. Execute really trying to clear out the north side. I think they wanted to try to wrap all the way to Jaguar, but Extreme Slayers took the fight. Across the zone. Loops going for some
wiped out
Obies.
Extreme Players, by the way, on the Potato Hill, so they're going to be taking over that dominant position. But Loops over here with the numbers advantage, trying to take out Execute. Would love to see it.
Yeah, Fate's kind of stuck. He's got the smokes, but I mean, do you even want to get into your car knowing that Mythic and them are right next to you? And now forcing the fight with Jaguar. I don't know if they know it's a duo here on the edge of the zone. Maybe they were scouting before in the previous zones. Only seeing two heads peek over the ridge, but Loops gonna be hearing this. This is more of a timing sort of thing. You gotta just push up and clear these players out.
That's for the ghost right there. I don't see him, but Mercy with the grenade onto its fate is gonna be taking them down. And Casper, I believe, about 25% HP, looking for that heal, but here comes Mercy with the push, trying to get the flush right now. Telly prone in the back line with the M4. Not going to be able to provide the cover fire because Loops from behind is going to be taking them down and out. But Mercy unable to hit the UMP shot right there. Casper with a nice knock to survive a little longer.
Yeah, and that's a player that you just really enjoy watching. I'd love to see his sort of POV in that situation because it's just those mechanics, that sort of sudden movement. You don't see that every day with players. And Jaguar loading in with 3 players this match. I would like to see them with 4. See what they could have done in that spot. But ultimately, you know, you got to look at Execute's play. What happened in terms of their push, that 30, 40-second window they had? Were they trying to either fight Loops? Were they trying to fight Jaguar? I think it's just a lot of indecision going on in those sorts of comms and their mindsets to the game. But you know, we're coming down to just 6 teams, 3 of them almost full squads. YKG and Loops with 4 players up, and Zombie Boys 3. Dave, looking in a pretty decent spot. Not too sure if they're gonna pull through though, but Loops pulling.
They're surviving, right? They're surviving.
They've got the game plan going. Coach Dave.
Survive, yeah. Play the game for more than 10 minutes. Check. We got that. And now look at that in the kill feed.
Okay.
Right there. So they're showing up here in the late game. YKG though, I mean, such a nice push from them earlier on to take out Extreme Slayers, pretty much taking over the hilltop, and now they have nothing but zone control. You got Fears in the south here, making sure they don't get swooped around and backstabbed. We got Chico on the east side, making sure nobody's surprised at them. Meanwhile, 24K and Joey on the hilltop looking ahead and just pick apart all their opponents as they make their approach into the zone.
Ooh. Talking about coming into the zone, Cat God getting a Zombie Boys player driving in on the buggy, still able to get behind his cover, and now it's an awkward position of you're down to 2 players, you're stuck on a car. Luckily, Cat God has to come in for them. He has to run in the open in some way. But Loops, I mean, it's going to be a battle, I think, this match between Loops and YKG on top of this mountainside.
See Crazy looking for some grenades, tossing out some smokes. Meanwhile, in the feed, looks like Blinky Bay finally taken out from Ace of Spades right there, getting ran over.
Oh, God.
Hey, here comes Crazy. Last grenade.
Crazy nade?
Or 2.
Did it damage.
That connected, though. I mean, taking out 50% of the health from Cat God.
He's got no more meds, really. Maybe just a few bandies and some boosts. Trying to just stall it out. He might be able to just prone and be just over the ridgeline of Zombie Boys. But, I mean, I think he might just go up and try to take this gunfight.
Got a sandwich in that backpack? I love this backpack, not gonna lie. So, Cat God, no more heals. 1 Molotov. Now here comes the blue zone right on top of them. Zombie Boys looking to get 1 additional elim point in the pocket here, hopefully for them. 4 getting taken out by Loops or YKG.
Yeah, and I mean, YKG at some point lost 1 player up on top of the hillside. They still have 3. It's not like they can't fight Loops later on in the zone, but Cat God getting his buggy blown up. He just made a mad dash for Cardoza and having an angle on him, hopefully getting the kill. Loops, and we could see the map right now. The spread that YKG had was essentially the same as Loops on the opposite side of zone, but losing that player loses so much control, so much structure they had in their game plan going into these later zones, to the point where Loops now is holding this ridge line. YKG has to either push onto the south side into the solo player, which is, I mean, those Loops players, they'll beam you out of cars if anything. Or you have to crash into their ridge line and take a fight with someone, probably with the DBS. So
yeah, I'm really hoping that Loops and YKG get into the engagement just to allow the Zombie Boy duo to just crawl their way in. But I highly doubt that's going to be the case, because we got 24K looking north, looking right on top of them. You got Cardozen with the intel from Loops as well. So both these teams probably going to just kind of be friendly for the time being and make sure to take out that duo down below before looking ahead and fighting each other.
yeah, I mean, it's just crazy up now. He made the crazy drive in, a little low. Fears, though, getting an opening onto a Loops player now. It's a 3v3 situation. I'd love to see YKG possibly try to push up and take this fight. You don't want them to get the revive. You're not wanting anything to be going down. But it seems like they're kind of scared almost. Maybe there's another snake on the north side, but now I think they realize with this play by Ayala pushing up onto the ridgeline that they are, it's a 3v4.
Yala, 6 grenades, now 5. 24K with 7, so we have the grenades to go fishing here. Trying to get the initial knock. Looks like 24K looking to regroup with their vehicles, use them as hard cover, possibly. As now we're down to just 2 teams in game number 1.
Yeah, and I think it's a bit of a bait almost for anyone to try to take those sorts of 1 stacks. They're so spaced out, they're so down the hill. Fears trying to take a 1v1 push on this edge of the zone.
Oh.
Joey pushed up with him and gets beamed with the UMP laser sight hip fire, and he's getting
The punch out! The disrespect right there to get the winner chicken dinner in game number 1 of week number 2 of Titan Series season number 3. I gotta give it to YKG though, Enigma. I liked the play. They had 2 on the east side on the hilltop, and they sent 2 in vehicles to wrap behind Loops, try to catch him off guard. Very difficult play right there. It comes down to communication. And then at the end of the day, Loops, they just had their head on the swivel. But what did you see in that final fight that maybe stuck out to you?
Well, I think a lot of it was just YKG. They were looking at the north side, kind of towards those yellow 1 stacks I was talking about. There's a bit of a ridge that slants down that you can play. I think they were too scared to make the play on the north side, thinking that there was a player there. But on the south side, took them a little bit too much time, I think, to make that play. They could have done it while they got that first initial knock, gone to the south side, like you said, and then gone for the execute. Luckily, I'm happy to see that, an NA team is showing some sort of, the brain's going, the machine's going, but we got to bring Hot Jukes back, get that sort of answer back with that, because Jukes
in the house.
What do you like? What do you see with that play?
Zombie Boys, 3rd place, just saying.
I see that. I saw YKG with a 2nd place as well. Why? That's my question mark. I mean, it's crazy to see, because I think we are seeing exactly what you said. Just a lot of just gun shyness. Like they have to execute when they realize that they have such an advantage. A Potato Hill finish, they should have taken it over, as we take a look here at the replay. And man, yeah, Super Laser Reflex starting off with some nice shots. I saw Dark in the chat thinking that Execute was going to take that. So, I mean, I think we're seeing a lot of just simple mistakes here from NA. I think they got to just go back to basics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, the playbook's got to come back. Playbook's got to be coming back at some point. Maybe it's inexperience. We talk a lot about these new players coming in, which I like to see. They've got the gun skill, but, I mean, we're going to need to start seeing the brain going 6-less. The Bison is maybe the only gun that kills him there in my eyes, because it's got bullets, but unfortunate for him.
The B-Zone, right? The B-Zone coming in hot here towards the end. I mean, obviously, a Potato Hill finish is going to be a struggle for a lot of teams to go ahead and enter here. I mean, Execute got some nice shots there towards the end, but I think they're having a lot of struggle when it comes to edge play, Dave. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, Execute, 6 elims, 1,300 damage done in game number 1. They just need to kind of hold it together for the end game, but I did appreciate their aggression throughout game number 1, something that we saw from that team last week. They're pretty good at getting into fights. They're good at cleaning up and getting those points. They just need to survive a little longer to get some placement points to go to boot.
Yeah, you know, looking at the match rankings here, Loops obviously on top, 18 total points. YKG got some nice eliminations as well. They ended up with, 13. But, just looking at that split from them, Enigma, to me, in my eyes, it looks like as a team, it's like, all right, we're not going to win this match, but let's just try to get a high placement, What do you feel about them making that decision? Do you think it would have been better for them just to stick together and just dominate Potato Hill from that end? Or do you think that split was worth it?
I mean, the split itself is, if you are able to hold that split, you just absolutely farm out the lobby. We looked at it, barely any tree cover. There's maybe a few ridges where people will be driving into to play. And if you're on top, it's all just free picking. So in my eyes, I don't blame them for going for that sort of spread play. But when it comes down to that later portion, when you start losing players, you're really needing to start condensing up and making that sort of team play. Because at some point, it's going to be you versus one other team. And at the end there, they didn't really YKG couldn't really recognize that sort of play going on with Loops and hesitated to make it. Probably took damage from other teammates shooting him. So, I mean, the team that I was looking at, the team that I named was Loops. Of course, winning it out. Reverse Caster's Curse. Shooting themselves up to second place. But in my eyes, I'm looking right now at Execute, YKG, teams that were in perfect spots, that zone, spots that should have put them into that top 3 placement. Obviously, with YKG, they did. But you're needing to start executing. You need to start getting that first place, closing out these wins.
Yeah, you got to be able to finish strong. I mean, I think that's what you really hope for in a game like this, right? You don't always get that circle, you don't always get that great position, but when you do get it, right, you got to finish it, not just with a chicken dinner, but with a ton of eliminations. And I think we're starting to see NA struggle from that perspective. We know Loops could close out, as we just saw here in this last one, Dave, but you also mentioned, Zombie Boys. It's a sign of life here today.
One elim, almost there. But when it comes to kind of going back to the tried and true, the bread and butter, what works for the Zombie Boys, and that is just surviving, avoiding the fights at all costs and just trying to make it to that late game. I mean, a third place, that's 5 points. So if they can just continue to do that, they could get 20 points all together tonight if they could just, maintain that consistency with surviving. There's many different ways to play PUBG Mobile here, Hot Juke.
For sure. I'll tell you what, getting a chicken dinner and a ton of eliminations definitely is a good way, in my opinion.
Probably the best way.
In my opinion, yeah, I think that is the best way. Let's take a look at the most dominant team in this last match. Loops, right? 8 eliminations, 989 damage. Okay, so a really good turnaround for them here, Enigma.
Yeah, and I mean, I was looking at last week's stats. Mythic, I believe, had almost half of his team's elims going into those 4 games. Looking here now, they have 8 elims. They only need to revive once, but the damage itself, I'm expecting that to be spread out. Chief obviously hitting the 1v2 at the end, probably boosts his numbers up a bit. But Loops, I mean, they came to play today.
Hey, you know what? The Brazilian eyebrow slit. How much of it does that help them? I believe it does give you a buff, right?
It's gotta, no doubt about it. I remember the first tournament we played, they had that, going on. We're like, what's going on, guys? Like, we need to do that. And then we show up to the first match and get absolutely slaughtered. So, it's gotta be worth it for him. Well, no, I didn't. Unfortunately not. And that's why we didn't do that well.
Hey, you know what? Enigma refusing to do what it takes. You hate to see it, man. You hate to see it,
man.
I can't. The superstition wasn't superstition at all, I guess.
I guess so.
Jukes, real quick, that reminds me of 2 years ago, we were looking at Loops. All of them had the eyebrow slits, and all the casters, I think you, me, Zute, we all did it. We got the instant buff. I mean, I just felt so much better that day, I recall. So I can confirm, eyebrow slits indeed improve overall performance.
Maybe it just allows that vision. You know what I'm saying? To be able to spot players just a little bit better. You don't got to worry about that weight,
Aerodynamic.
I don't know.
Makes a lot of sense.
I agree. All right, we're going into the next match. Obviously, we're headed into Miramar. This is always that match I feel is Hyper's biggest chance to turn it around. Because, you always see them in that high ground position. They didn't get it done last week, right? Do you think there's a chance we're going to see it happen here in Miramar? Enigma?
I mean, it could be. The last game, I saw the gears turning. They went for that third-party fight. We thought YKG was going to do it on a passion fruit, but ended up being Hyper coming all the way across the map from the south side, going for the free elim points. So, you know, we're seeing that they're doing the work that we talk about so much, the homework. They're doing that sort of effort putting in. Not sure if they're having that sort of game plan on Miramar if people are fighting early, but for them, you know, it's always a team that likes trying to do these big spreads, these execute plays early in the match when they get an early kill. And I mean, we'll just have to wait and see.
I agree. Well, you know what, Dave, when it
Hey,
comes
what
to
up?
zombie boys, you're talking about a team that just likes to survive. That is their strategy. But do you think, it did work for them obviously in that one finals. That strategy doesn't work all the time. Do you think it's worth it for them to start mixing it up, maybe get a little bit aggressive here this week? Or do you want to kind of see them just fine tune the survival strat?
Fine tune it. Fine tune it. I think last week is when we saw them trying new things. And what I mean by that is like getting aggressive. And it just didn't work for them. And that's why we see them at the bottom of the leaderboards. But now that they go back to that tried and true strategy, they just overtook and hyper on the leaderboards here tonight. So, Zombie Boys, do what you got to do. No shame in the game. I respect it, and I'm here for it all night long, Hot Jukes.
Yeah, what are your thoughts, Enigma?
I mean, no shame in the game is the easiest way of putting it. In my eyes, it's a lot of just hesitation. You know, I'm wanting to see that sort of gun skill come through. But, you know, like the last match, they got into that later portion of the zone. It's a matter of just cleaning it up, you know, getting the spots off the car, I guess you could say, and
Yeah.
getting themselves into that final part of zone with more than just one or two players up.
I think, after watching PMWI, I think it's really opened up just to see how much the meta has shifted, right? We're seeing a lot of teams hold that edge, waiting, right? I think timing has been so critical to the success for so many teams, right? If you hold that edge in that mid game, wait for a fight to happen, third party it. Now you got the best position. Now you got some free elimination points, and then you could just dominate from there. One team I seem to see struggle with being able to flip that switch, right? We talk about that hesitancy is execute, okay? So, like Enigma, what do you think execute needs to do differently, at least in your eyes?
Well, I mean, I think Dave said it perfectly earlier. You know, there's a lot of different ways to play the game. For execute, it's got to be a lot of just them maybe opening up their mindset on how they view the game, maybe change it up a little bit. Because right now, you know, they have the gunners, they have the team synergy, they've played a while. These players have either played with each other on different teams, previous teams, or just now for a long period of time. But I mean, it's just like you said, you know, we're needing them to show up and show out.
All right. Well, we'll see if we can do it here in just a little bit, guys. We're going to go to a quick break. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Okay, so going into match number 2 out of 4 today. Loops got the chicken dinner, man. And it just happened to be when Taylor's not here, right? What a shame, right? What a shame for him. You know, it's so crazy to see because when Loops keeps their whole squad up towards the end, they're a force to be reckoned with. Do you think they're going to be able to do that here in this next game, Dave?
I mean, you said it. Taylor's not here, so most likely they'll probably win all the games here tonight, and then come next week, dead last. I mean, that's just how it is, Hot Jukes.
All right, Enigma, right? We're about to go into Miramar. Come on, Loops, right? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the back-to-back, we saw with the other teams last week, you know, they were able to pull the back-to-backs themselves. But Loops, you know, Taylor himself, just maybe the boomer jokes got to him from last week when I was telling him it. But, you know, it's not like I'm saying it this week. Maybe there's some weird juju going on with Loops, with Taylor. But, I mean, I think they're going to pull through, Hot Chicks. They are just on fire.
Yeah, I think so too, man. Now, besides that, okay.
I got something, Hot Jukes.
Talk to me, Dave.
Did we mention that after Miramar, we got uneven showing up here tonight?
That's right. We didn't talk about that. Yeah, we should have talked, of course, about our special guest coming up in a little bit. Uneven, hailing all the way from Japan, dude. It's so good to be able to see him. I'm excited to see what he's got to say later on, Dave. Now, right, before, of course, we get into all that goodness, all right, with this next match coming up, so far we've had 5 games this season. Not one North American chicken dinner, okay? Out of all the teams that you are watching, which one do you think is going to be the first one to be able to pull one out here this season?
Good question. YKG. Easy. Just because they almost had it in game number 1, right? And you know me, I'm a guy who just believes in, you know, good old, you know, cold milk on a Sunday morning and momentum. You know, Hot Jukes. And after game number 1, YKG, they got that momentum, man. 70 limbs in one match, 1,500 damage done. They were so close, so close. Almost had it. But when you're asking me out of all of NA, who has the higher chance of getting their first chicken here tonight, has to be YKG without a doubt.
Dude, I mean, Enigma, do you agree?
I'm piggybacking on it. I mean, Joey's just got to be able to stay alive and, you know, keep his team in a spot to where they're able to execute and get that win out.
The legendary Joey, man. I mean, I have been waiting to see his return of crazy pop-off moments, you know. He was the man to be reckoned with, right? In North America for a good hot little minute. He's kind of had a little bit of a lull as far as, you know, outstanding performances from himself. Why do you think that is, Enigma, if you were just to kind of just guess?
I think he needs a pan, you know.
Over
the wall, you know,
yes.
Get the kill. Maybe he needs to do that this season, you know, maybe it's like a little switch that turns on for him when he gets that sort of melee kill. But I mean, for him, it's a lot of just, you know, if he's on it or not. And if he's not, then the team really just crumbles underneath him.
Yeah, you know what? I'll tell you what, a pre-fire pan play, oh my gosh, that would get the team going here, Dave.
Oh, yeah.
Now, yesterday, we obviously saw a crazy dominant performance, right, between ATON and Intense Game. And we kind of talked about their head-to-head a little earlier. Maybe we could even bring that back up so we could just kind of look at that stats one more time, because they did have the most momentum coming into today. They didn't start off that strong, but we are going into Miramar. We saw ATON win it yesterday, right? So what do you think about that, Dave?
Yeah, I mean, listen, you need one game to just warm it up. You know what I'm saying? Warm up those thumbs, get it going, maybe even the wrists, maybe even greasing up the chair if you got full gyro, if you're one of those guys, you know? So after one game, I feel like both these squads are now warmed up, and we got 3 more games to go. So we see them squaring up in a 4v4 here on Miramar. Loaded up, geared up. I still think IG wins it here, Hot Jukes.
I mean, they are still in the lead, right, Enigma? So they still have that little bit of a buffer. But I think this is the game, right, if they want to hold on to it, because I think there's a lot of teams that could definitely catch them.
Yeah, and I mean Miramar is just the map for some teams. In intense gaming, last season we saw them pull out that what it was 20,
Oh
32
my
points
gosh,
or
yeah.
something, some insane amount of elims from just one team alone in one match. So when I'm always looking at Miramar, I'm thinking of intense gaming scene. Are they gonna have a pop-off game again? Now ATON, they just do a little bit more of a consistent style play across all the maps, but intense gaming is definitely who I'm looking at in that matchup.
Yeah, well, you know what? When it comes to Miramar, there's one weapon in particular that I have seen really be a force to be reckoned with as of late. Okay, it's the mini. All right, if I wish it was the Winchester so bad.
Well,
You have no idea, but it's the mini, right? I mean, we've seen, of course, that M4, 6X, 3X spray just be the dominant force for so long, but I think the mini has its own place these days. Enigma, how do you feel about it?
I think it's just the damage drop off at range for that gun allows you to just get those confirmation kills when you knock people because it's not like you're really needing the DBS on Miramar that much. You're up on a mountain 300 meters out. You're not really up face to face with people. So if you're able to finish someone faster than with the M4, I mean, by all means, you should be using that gun.
Yeah, not to mention your confirmations from yourself, but being able though to get those steals, right? If you happen to see a player knocked, you got that mini couple of pop, take them out before Papa Blue does. Dave, I mean, how do you feel that it has an impact, especially in Miramar?
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback on the point that Enigma just made, the one team that really stood out to me last week on Miramar that was utilizing the Mini 14 the best had to have been Loops. We saw them on the high ground, and we caught multiple POVs of them every single time doing just that, just confirming the elims, the knocks, I mean, and maybe even stealing a couple in the mix. And I believe, if not mistaken, they were the team that used the minis to kind of catch and hyper off guard while they were trying to get to their high ground that we've seen from Hyper in the past. So hopefully this time around, Hyper, they might have a mini on their side and they won't get caught slipping here on Miramar.
Yeah, I mean, last time we did see them, right, take a high ground early, and then all of a sudden we just saw Loops come in, take them out, and they got that early finish on that player. One thing I feel that Hyper really struggles, right, is in those moments of panic, right? When you get a player caught out of position, get busted, how do you recover? I think too often we see Hyper just go for the disengage, sacrifice the player, and move on, right? Rather than say, you know what? Okay, how can we turn this fight around, right? Can we just get aggressive, just try to get a couple knocks and able to take them out? Like Enigma, like, do you think that's something in Hyper should attempt?
Well, they have the gun skill for it. It's not like we're saying those players can't hit those crucial knocks to get their
Right?
player back up. But for their sort of team, I don't know if it's the scrims when they're playing it, but maybe it's just when they're making these rotates, it's more of a comfort spot. They're like, okay, this zone that ends on, Junkyard, we get this spot for free every single time. We got it for free last Titan series. And we have a team like Loops who recognizes that they're getting the spot for free, saying, hey, let's just go in front of them and take it and just wait for them. You catch them out, and then at that point, it's like, oh my God, what do we do? Like, are we going to be going for the fight? And at that point, I think it's just an easy call for their IGLs just to say, cut them off. We'll play as 3-man. We'll play right next to them or something. So, a lot of it, I think, is going to be coming down to what kind of practice they're doing in scrims and other tournaments they play in, and how it applies to this tournament now.
And to
Yeah.
add to that real quick,
Go
Hot
ahead.
Dukes, going back to just that play style in general, I feel like Hyper had the most success with that when it was just them in NA. You know what I'm saying? They had NA. Everybody in NA respect each other's play styles, drop spots. But now that we have the regions clashing, that respect is no longer there. And I feel like that's where Hyper are kind of biting the
Mm.
bullet, sort of say. And they got to get out this comfort zone. You know what I'm saying? Because teams are gunning for them.
That's a great point. We don't talk about it a lot, but it is a huge factor. Enigma, I know you experienced it with your competitive days too. When you have a team that is being so dominant, it disrupts every other team's play style, right? Like you get a knock, you finish one player, you realize it's that squad. You're like, oh, maybe you hesitate just a little bit because you
Yeah.
realize it's that team. But if you're in Hyper and you continue to perform the way you do, that can shift, like you mentioned. Like all of a sudden that respect goes out the window. Oh, it's at Hyper, push them. You know what I'm saying? And those decisions are going to disrupt their play style here. So I definitely think that they need to have a strong game. sooner rather than later. And hopefully we'll see it here in a few moments, guys. So hopefully we'll be getting the game started here soon. We're going to go ahead and go to a real quick break, and we're going to be right back.
What up, everybody? We are back. Game number 2, week 2, Titan Series Season 3. Enigma, Mustache Dave on the mic. Let's get into the game.
Yeah, I mean, the game itself, a little bit of delays, but we're in now. Loops, you know, a little bit of a plane finish. I gotta ask Dave, what plane finish do you use in game?
What plane finish do I use in game? Well, I don't really change it, to be honest with you.
Wow. You
I
don't like you just run everything
got the deep
on
pockets
like
like
default
that, man.
skin, like you just
I don't
have
got
as
the
blank
deep
skin.
pockets like that, man.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
The
What about
plain
like
skin?
what about your outfit? What about the outfit or something?
The outfit? That is that's the corn suit, man. The OG
The corn suit.
You gotta throw it back. See, I'm the type of guy, once when you have like a good outfit,
Oh yeah.
that's it. Like, that's your identity from now on. Not to say I don't roll and, you know, get new ones here and there, but I'm a good old-fashioned corn outfit, corn on the cob, running out there in the middle of the field kind of guy, you know?
Okay, but I'm gonna need some sort of cosplay from you then, where you either like dye the mustache into like a corn, or like you just show up in a corn outfit one day on stream.
We'll make it happen.
Someone in
We'll make
chat
it happen.
sponsor it, get it going. A little bit of a drier start, I guess you could say.
What about
Jaguar.
you? Hey, you can't just
Hey!
tell me what my favorite skin is and just breeze
Well,
over it.
I would use an old school season 4 like battle pass outfit or something that the game gave you. Like when you reach a certain rank, they would give you an outfit in game. Because back then it was all about, you know, if you were a conqueror or whatnot. So I think up to like the ace rank gave you like a full outfit set. I'd wear that with some random like purple face mask. That just looked ugly. But everyone knew it was me. I didn't like spending money on the game that much other than gun skins. And I'd be like you, where it's, if I got a gun skin, that's the only one I need. So
One and done.
right now, he's got the pump skin. A little bit of a dire situation. I don't know if we're into solo, and
yeah,
he's gone. He's done. So
getting caught out there in the open. Free little point right there for Extreme Slayers. They'll take that one to the bank. You know what I'm thinking about? You got me thinking about skins now, and I'm going to try to get back into the game because we got Blinky Bay 2 rolling up with the Uzi, Ace of Spades. We saw Blinky Bay, they were able to hit those shots, or those grenades at least, in game number 1. Not able to hit those shots this game, was caught off guard. The Vector from the second story connecting right there onto them. Let's see, can we get another one? ILYP out here.
I don't know.
No helmet, no vest, just behind the boulder. Not really feeling it here.
Just hit the shots, I guess. I mean, he's got the bear head or potato head. I don't know what that is that Mamba's got, but he's got something. Pre-fire, doesn't get it. Little freebie for ATON. Down to just 2 now, essentially 1, because I don't think Blinky's going to be doing too much with 0 HP. And ATON seems like to walk away with
yeah, there it is.
Kills.
Clean, very clean right there for ATON. What's to be expected, right? I mean, this is one of the top teams in the lobby. So when they sink their teeth into their prey, they don't let it go. So ATON currently in 3rd place, losing that 2nd place mark after game number 1 to Loops, but now already with 4 points in the pocket here very early on this match.
Yeah, 4 little digits in there. And a team like ATON, I like to, you know, just really just point them at in Loops and all these, you know, recognized teams that have been established, I guess you could say, for a long period of time. Or if they have a bad game like that game 1 maybe where they didn't finish in that top 3, they're able to come back like nothing ever happened and just start, you know, starting off strong and just really getting the kills when they need it the most to get their points back up.
Replay!
That's with the Vector of all guns. Boom!
There's one.
Teammate didn't even have time to react.
Nope. Looked like Mamba trying to go for like a little sneak attack play with the AKM from behind, but just not working out for them. And yeah, 4 points. Going back to the skin conversation. Oh my goodness, you're gonna think I'm lying, but this was the skin that I was going to try to bring up. That like mirror,
that diamond skin. Yeah.
Yes, because that thing, depending on the angle, it has like a glare to it. Actually.
Oh no, that skin. Zfon was the player in NA that would wear that skin every single game. You'd barely be able to see it because it's that like skin tight suit. And one skin that I'd put on just if, you know, we're messing around in scrims is I'd wear the Yeti outfit. Where, you know, it's got the big white suit, the blue face, and that's what I'd wear. And I was doing it in PMPLs a few times when I was subbing for X and stuff. And then unfortunately they had us wearing, you know, those in-game skins that they gave to everyone, which were all pretty sick. But, you know, I wanted to wear the Yeti outfit and stand out on stream when they showed it. But unfortunately we couldn't get that squared away.
Yeah. Maybe next time, man. Send a couple emails here. But that's it. Let us know in the chat, by the way. What is your favorite skin? It's always a pretty cool, interesting topic to discuss. I mean, not to mention all the car skins that are coming out. You'll love to see that as well. So ATON, quick 4 points in the pocket. They're going to be pretty much dominating the east side of circle number 1. They don't have a soul near them for the time being. Nothing but open terrain here. As
well, testing shots, I'm not sure what.
I mean, everybody's trying to, you know, get dressed up here on this game. Looks like we're swapping some gear, swapping some outfits. Oh, didn't like that. Stealing on my bike right there. But we might have some fights here. We got Execute. They're gonna be rolling in right behind the Zombie Boys. The Zombie Boys just full on gassing it right now, trying to avoid the fight.
Yeah, I mean, Execute, edge of zone. I'm not surprised Zombie Boys is out here of all teams because you do like playing the survivability that get into the late game. Doesn't matter what part we're in. If we can just outman people on the edge. We saw last game a lot of duos that lived, a lot of solos even on the edge of the zone. Obviously, that was Erangel. Miramar is a lot easier to push teams on the edge because it's a lot less sight lines from the center of the zone. You have mountains and stuff like that you could push into, get those sorts of kills going. But Hyper taking the spot that they died last game at, or I guess last week at, on Miramar. Loops is in here to, you know, kind of block them out of it, force them into that lower section. And Extreme Slayers, though, not sure if Ren has seen him just yet. They might be able to just get a free little knock on Ren if he takes the shots.
Wow, with the M249 too.
Yeah, I'm not liking that gun layout. AK
M24 not taking the Hot Juke's advice on the break right there, missing the mark with the mini. So we got the M249 and the AKM up here from above, remix down below. So it looks like they're trying to maybe catch one of the N-Hyper players off guard. Maybe they see their head peeking up here. I mean, it's predictable. All you have to have done is watch a couple of odds, and you know for a fact that N-Hyper, they're going to be on the hilltops, Enigma. They're going to be spread out. They're going to be holding it down. So very curious to see what Extreme Slayers can pull out the hat here on this one.
Yeah, but Robert pulling out the recommendation you made. He's got the Winnie. He's got the gun of choice on this map. Doesn't seem like they're really looking at
how do you feel about that
spot. The Winnie?
Tell me the truth, man. Be honest, and don't just tell me something. Like, don't lie to me because I'm in the game with the Winchester video, you know, highlight montage.
If you've got hashtag ad, you know, I think if you don't have a scope, the gun is great because you can hold a lot of 4 or 5 ammo. You don't really need to be like peeking too long. It's not like there's a lot of bullet drop. So in my eyes, I think it's a pretty decent gun. It does decent damage. I think PMPL or 2 ago, we've seen some people get knocks on this map with the Winnie. I think Joey or Fears, someone on YKG, I think it was the one that got that sort of Winnie knock going on. And I mean, you always love seeing that. That melee kills, you'll see, you know, like the run over clips, all that stuff. I just love seeing.
Talking about love seeing, I love seeing shake up here on Miramar, the silent, you know, non-action packed early game. Well, that gets flipped on its head because we had a hard shift all the way down there to the south. So now we're starting to see the great migration. Nobody was in the zone. Now everybody just rushing down here to either take up the mountaintops east or we'll go into the actual city of Los Leones because that's where we're heading. And talk about heading there. We got N-Hyper rolling up in a monster truck, baby.
Yeah, and I mean, Marginal is having to keep this sort of forward press on N-Hyper. If he gives up the ridge, I mean, it's just basically over for him, getting caught out. And I didn't realize this, but Loops was on the other side of him, taking the third-party fight. They lost Cardozo driving by, and we had talked about it before. Are there teams that want to stop and try to save their teammate? Loops is definitely one of those teams proving it here on Miramar. That's willing to take that fight, and I mean, it pays off for him. And Hyper getting the timing to fight the other players of Intense Gaming, and Loops being able to, I would want to think, walk away with all 4 players on this fight.
We'll see. We shall see. Time will tell as we're going to be just rolling in here. It's going to be Loop still in the mix. Now, N-Hyper looks like they're able to dodge a bullet because Diego out here, the last one alive, looking to maybe catch Loops off guard as they make their approach into the zone.
They're looking for him, it seems.
Yeah. So, last one alive here for IG. This is going to set them back here on the overall leaderboards. This here on Miramar. Because remember, they were in first place with 57 points. And Loops, the team right behind them, with 52. So, if Loops can have another really good performance here this map, it could be taking that first place spot here.
Yeah, I mean, the matchup, too, we don't get to see ATON versus Intense Gaming, but ATON, you know, for comparing at least the stats of the match overall on Miramar, I mean, ATON's alive with 4 kills and Intense Gaming's out. So, a little bit of a caster curse with that, I guess you could say.
See ya.
Now, taking some shots onto N-Hyper. Do you like the monster truck, Dave?
Yeah. Oh, I love it, man. I absolutely love it. I love that they added it here. I remember when it was just a lyric only vehicle. I feel like, why not just throw it on all maps here?
Well, and then I think last match, too, I had seen the Murado from Miramar on it, so they just scrambled all the car spawns on every map.
Might as well. I mean, one of my favorite vehicles here. So, Los Leones, look at this. This is very interesting to me. Nobody really opting to go into the actual city except for C4. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, C4, I think they just kept it simple. A lot of these teams probably were like, okay, you know, we play this sort of zone. There's probably not going to be a lot of teams rotating on the south side. Let's do that. And then everyone has the same idea in mind. And then now you're just like, oh, well, we're all going to have to be fighting on the edge. And fighting on the edge is with Extreme Slayers doing just God knows
We're
what,
rolling
but
up.
getting the knocks on everyone on PASSIONFRUIT. I think it's just 6 left alive. I don't even know if you'd want to call it a pull-up or just a drive-by, because they did not stop in any vehicle right there.
Yeah, this is just disrespect right here, in my opinion. So Sixless kind of hitting the eject button, going for the solo play right now to just get some type of placement points and not have this game number 2 be such a wash. Because game number 1, they had so many limbs, they had a hot drop, they did pretty good, so they were on the up and the up here. So Sixless, the solo right now, just looking to survive, and they might be able to do just that, as this game is just chaotic. Nobody can find a foothold right here. You go over a hill, there's a team already there, Enigma, and we're starting to see a lot of players get taken out this early on.
Yeah, and I think one thing is just these IGLs need to start recognizing when a play is just too, I guess, generic, you could say, where it's just other people are going to have that same mindset in mind. And I mean, we see the minimap. I'm seeing 4 or 5 different colors of different teams just making the same rotates. I mean, at some point, I'd like to see some of them just start diving in towards the center, kind of like what C4 did. Take something around the center of the zone and just, you know, just wait for all these teams to battle it out, because we're seeing it now on the right side of the screen. INF already losing a player. Zombie Boys losing 2 on the rotate just from these fights on the edge of the zone.
Oh, it's a mess, man. We got MEZEXIS down here in the south looking to work their way, fight their way uphill. YKG already up there, set up in a pretty comfortable position. Yeah, they lost Joey, but cheeky. Little peek right there, trying to get the knock, but the Yump putting a stop.
Yeah, and I mean, we talk about Joey being the glue together, but it seems like
Chico! What is going on here? The seat swap right there. These plays are wild here on this map.
Damn, I mean, he's got a nade out. It's not like he's dead yet, but he's just 1 HP. A little bit of a pre-fire going on, but Chico being the player that I think for YKG is the other person that YKG is leaning on right now, because Joey's dead in that fight. We saw Chico hitting the absolute beam on the MEZEXIS player on the hillside, hitting the little 90-degree turn to the left, getting the guy next to him with the UMP. And I mean, if you have someone like that, we see the zone shift 2 just barely shifts away from them, allowing them to kind of take their time in getting into the zone. And that's one thing that people don't stress enough, is how that zone rotate goes when you take those edge fights, because the res is going to be 10 seconds. Then we've got, you know, 5 seconds to heal, 7 seconds to heal. Then you got to loot and do all this sort of stuff. You don't have time. You don't have the thought process to be going in, but Skur doesn't need any sort of time when he's taking shots like that. Absolutely lays out Cardozan. Ayala trying to help at C4, the team that was in the middle. They're starting to get around now.
It's all about timing, like you said. I love it. I love where you're heading with that. And talking about timing, Loops right there with a little crossfire. I mean, the timing was perfect. The communication is just flowing right there. You can definitely tell. Now Chief's going to be pulling up with that grenade, pulling the pin. We'll be looking for the connect here to take out the revive. Looks like Daddy Payne did pull off to try to get a new angle and allow some time for the pickup. It looks like they were able to get just that.
Well, and Hyper, even though they got knocked by ATON, Ayala getting knocked in the back by Rim. And C4 maybe recognizing that they had been knocked from a different team, looking to push up. They're needing to find some sort of knock or opening, maybe even a thirst. With some of these nades, but a little bank.
I would love to see that. I would love to see that connect here. Now Loops trying to get the pickup in the bowl. They got the smokes, you know, providing some soft cover. Cardozan trying to play defense right now. Put a stop to any type of push that C4 might be thinking about. Bond cooking a grenade, looking to toss it to the second story window slit. Looks like Loops got the revive and now quickly pulling out, looking to get the high ground advantage once again.
And Chief is, I mean, he's got some sort of angle. He's got something cooking here with that.
There it is. Oh, there it is.
Sees it.
You see it.
He sees the gun barrel. Oh, now he definitely sees him.
I love this angle. And I think Mythic is trying to make a play right now.
Yeah, he's
on the
pre-firing.
opposite side.
He's doing something. I don't know if C4 smoked out his angle now or what, but I mean, Loops, Chief has got the best angle possible. There's no way Sicko knows that he's there. And Hyper now too in the background coming down. This fight takes too long, but he hits the pre-fire on two players. One up on
dude
C4
out here cooking.
I mean, the UMP's deadly, guys. Who needs the mini or the M4?
We get the 3-piece. And we get the 3-piece. 35 bullets in the magazine, 4 in reserve here. UMP, Chief looking to seal the deal. Oh, that pre-fire going to be eating up a lot of those bullets in reserve, but it doesn't matter. Wow. We got him. Loops coming out on top right there, taking out C4, the back-to-back finals champions here. Just having a rough evening here tonight.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Chief got all 4 of those players or just the 3 out of the 4, but I mean, looking at the squad, all 4 of them up still. You notice too how he just sat at the doorway, didn't move. His teammate was actually getting rezzed off screen, didn't want to, you know, get himself knocked and finished because his team is, you know, supporting that res. But good out, like, you know, good call outs for Loops, I guess you could say there, and just taking it a little slow. Don't get a little too overconfident with your playmaking abilities.
Chief looking for that 5,000 UC. Let's be honest, that's on the line here tonight as well. So Loops, they are going to be trying to lick their wounds, you know, top off their health, and they're going to be looking ahead indeed. We got N Hyper, we got Execute, we even got Extreme Slayers, at least a duo, what I can see, awfully split for the time being. So Loops, they have plenty of options to work with, but they need to make sure that they have each other's backs, and Mythic is going to be pressing the envelope just a little bit, and I believe getting love tapped right there by Telly.
Just a little tapping, I guess.
A little tap, you know.
But I mean, Los Leones is starting to get filled up a little bit. There's not as many teams as I'd like to see. I guess it's not as centered as teams would maybe want it to be for them to make that full send plan. But and Hyper getting in on that northern side, kind of isolated from the warehouse where Loops was at. But now Execute. Seems like they're going to get maybe executed on by Loops.
Ooh, I like that.
Get pushed on. You know, be here all week.
Loops are feeling good. You could tell, too. I mean, they just came off of that really nice team fight a couple moments ago with C4. Mythic recognizing, hey, we got a player over here, Telly. We saw them pull back a little bit, so they have to assume that that player is pulling back to their teammates. And Loops still looking to just continue pushing forward, you know, just snowballing here this game. You love to see it.
Yeah, and I mean, Chief, with some of these angles he's taking, you know, it seems unconventional for a lot of people. But when you have the gun skill that he has, something like that, where he's just standing, you know, right at the doorway, he knows no one's on his south side, he just waits for Execute to try to take shots onto the Loops players and then go for the other one. But it seems like he's going to just push in and take the close range fight with him. Fate has the DBS. It's not like he can't get the multi-kill, but I mean, I'd be kind of scared, Dave. I'm going against Loops.
I like that Molotov right there to try to put a stop to that push, because we had 3 Loops players at the doorway just waiting for the call to be made. So that's going to buy them a little bit of time. Fate has some smokes to work with, but Telly spotted down there on the stairwell.
I think he got knocked. I think he got knocked by Fate's molly. So
no way.
So you know, a good molly, but I don't think Telly got the memo with it or something.
Yeah, don't walk him a molly next time.
Yeah.
Don't
walk it. What are you doing
now? Now Fate back in the corner, but we do have the DBS. There's one. Oh. No, I thought there was one. I take it back. What happened there, Enigma?
I think he just shot earlier. Maybe whoever was the spearhead of that, I think it was Mythic, just saw him last second, made a little swerve, little weave, thinking he's Neo from the Matrix or something, but dodges the first shot and ultimately, I think, would save his team from that fight, because you saw the last Execute player. I'm not sure who's playing on that account. Maybe they're trying someone out, but coming down the stairs instantly, when Fate took the first shot to get the backstab, but I mean, if you get knocked instantly, you're not paying attention to Fate anymore. You're looking back up the stairs or another room, and I just gave him the free knock when he came down.
When in doubt, DBS it out. I don't think that's true anymore, at least after watching that play here. So I'm going to start to reconsider my whole life right here. But YKG, they did lose Joey earlier on. We did see that, but they're still making plays. Chico with 5 elims right there. And as I say, the curse is real. Chico knocked down, not dead yet. This is going to be in the south here. So they're trying to just dominate the hilltops. Let's see if they can avoid these grenades.
Yeah, it seems like his second or third knock too. He's bleeding out really quick, and he's got most of the kills on your squad. So if you're needing to waste all your smokes to get Chico up, I mean, by all means, you should be doing it, because that player has been the glue, at least for this match, Dave.
Love me some glue is gonna be back, but
well,
like they did get the pickup. Looks like they did get the pickup. Little boy now rolling up as well. So they're just full on sending it here.
I think they know. Maybe one of them saw the YKG player go around the back. They know the east side's free, but 24K proning it out. He's got to get an opening knock here. Gets one. Get down for free without cover. Now it's just these two players on IF. I did not realize Federal was dead, Dave. It is just these last two players.
Yeah. Yeah, little boy knocked down as well. We're going to start to see the smokes come out, but 24K has a grenade in hand. Going for the toss. That looks like it's cooked, baby, and it is. The heat-seeking missile hits the mark indeed, but we can't get the final flush right there. 24K knocked out in a return, but we still have two teammates here pulling forward to try to make sure to seal the deal. Seal the battle that 24K started over here.
They're looking kind of far. They don't realize. I think he's kind of closer now.
Oh, he's
gonna actually wrap back down. So a little bit of a reset going on. Little boy not gonna get rezzed, I think, unfortunately, but 2v3 situation. And at this point, you know, we're looking at the zone. They're kind of centered, Dave. Would you almost just take the revive and just rotate away from YKG? Wait for the zone shift. Wait for the zone shift. If it comes on to you, then I mean, there's other teams in the lobby still. Team Slayer is obviously down to just one player. Same with SLR, but I mean, Hyper's got 4 people up. Loops has got 3 people up. There's a lot of these squads that are, you know, they're still able to come up and just try to take the fight with you.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, after those that engagement, both teams using a lot of utility when it comes to smokes and grenades. So right now, just prone it out and just listen to those audio cues. And talking about listening, Hayuya! Extreme Slayer is trying to do just that right here. Trying not to make a move, as we do have Loops right on top of him. Hayuya in his shack.
The pump.
Waiting. We hear the footsteps here, Enigma.
Not the DBS, but I mean, I guess he'll take it.
Take what you can get.
Well, Loops might be making a play to the mountain. They're smoking out the cars. Because if they get stuck down here, then they're going to have every team looking at him.
Chief on 7 elims here. The dude is feeling it. Level 3 gear, too. The vest is somewhat knocked up a little bit, but Loops with the intel on YKG from above. I don't know if they're aware of Hayuya. Just by their movement here, I do not believe they are aware of the solo who is right on top of them.
They might think it's a player like farther away from zone, not someone right next to him. Maybe like rotates in, like he ratted by him. But I mean, he's just chilling. He's got the level 2 vest and the 1 elm. It's not like he's gonna get one tapped. He just keeps chilling. And if Loops makes that rotate into the next zone, he might just be able to stay there for another zone or 2.
Yeah, Chief kind of moving around over here. I do not believe they're aware. We also have solo player from SLR, White Algae, out there in the mix. We can see a little yellow/orange marker on the mini map at the top right-hand corner. So we got a couple solos who could play spoiler. But YKG right now, I'm looking at them. They got the trio on the hilltops. I really believe this should be their game to win, just because I really do favor their positioning. But Loops are just on a steamroller right now. 10 elims in total.
Yeah, I mean, YKG's got 7. It's not like they're not up there, but I mean, we're just seeing it's always just a class above these other teams whenever it's Loops playing. And Ayuya, of course, it was Chief that found him out.
There's 8 elims.
Nice try.
Mighty senses going off right there.
you know, I think he's in a good position for the MVP of the weekday with just this one match.
So INF actually pulling off of their last attempt to overthrow YKG, the Kings of the Hilltop over here. Now they're going to be working their way towards Hyper. Looks like they got in a hairy situation. Hyper with 3 up, 3 limbs. INF 2 up with 2 limbs. But YKG, they're hearing the gunshots out there in the distance. They're looking to reposition, get the high ground, and get a couple more limbs in the pocket here.
Yeah, and I'd be scared if I was YKG. They don't have anyone watching Loops. Thankfully, the SLR solo did get a knock onto the Loops player with a nade before he was found out. Finished. But Loops in a spot now where if YKG focuses on Hyper too much, they'll be able to just work up the mountain for free.
Ooh, Fears from above. M4 right there, taking out Kindness, trying to regroup with their teammate. Now Fears looking for the confirm with the grenade. Looks like Hyper got somewhat separated over here on the cliff side. A Loop's now going to be popping up, just cleaning up the scraps over there. Hyper are just getting picked apart.
Yeah, and I mean, YKG, they do have someone looking at them, but you're going to have to basically beam someone out of a car. They do have one finish. Mythics eliminated on the Loop squad. But, I mean, it's still 3 players, and 3 is the magic number, it seems, for Loop. So, I'd still be worried if I was YKG. Chico does have probably the most important position in the zone right now for his squad. Trying to limit Loops. At least the minimum is 1 knock and a finish out of him. If he allows Loops to push up and Hyper gets this reset, then it just puts YKG in the back foot of, if both teams push up the mountain, how are you going to defend it?
I'm still just amazed with Chief. If Chief can get 1 more limb, that's going to be equivalent to a chicken dinner that Chief required in points alone here in this map, and it's not even done yet. As Loops, they have 3 up. YKG, 3 up as well. Hilltop, advantage. Hyper down there below. Now, it all comes down to the final zones, though. It's going to end right smack in the middle. I want to ask you, is this the time that you're going to start passing off the meds to 1 player, possibly? Or is it just, you know, hit them shots? What do you think?
I think if you're Hyper, you do that. They're both stacked on top of each other, and then maybe rat it, but Fear is finding them out. Trying to get a little vert nade Kobe that YKG did last match, but Loops almost crumbling under this YKG split. Chico really needing to win this 1v1 if he chooses to take it with Ayala. Ooh, a little bit of damage. This is the point. He's got backup with his teammate. He's got to get this sort of knock going on Ayala and the finish, or else the zone is going to play a huge part in how they play.
The aggression right there from Chico. You can tell Chico just wants to get the job done with the quick weapon swap right there. We'll be taking down Ayala. Here comes the collapse from the opposite end here as Hyper looking to make a play, but Fears, MG3 jumping off the cliff tops.
Oh, the volley!
Rip right there. We're on fire, and Fears from above. MG3 spray down to get the winner chicken dinner. Hot Jukes, where are you at? Hot Jukes said, hey, Dave, what team from NA is going to get the chicken dinner tonight? I said Hot Jukes without a doubt. YKG, baby. Look at this. 10 limbs going their way. 2k damage done. YKG from above Hot Jukes. The papa, the Hot Jukes special right there. You'll love to see it.
The pow, baby. I mean, straight from the legend's mouth, right? It has come to fruition. I have been waiting for the Mustache Dave crystal ball to come back, you know?
Been a hot minute.
Here, season 3, right? Day 2, right? That is how you get it done right there. YKG busting out that chicken dinner. Enigma, how much did that contribute to that beautiful MG3 just dropping on Fears right there towards the end, huh?
I mean, the outfit, the gear you get from it, the gun is just, I mean, it's too good to pass up. And we saw at the end, Chief, you know, having a bunch of limbs, but taking all those fights, I mean, all of his gear is 1 HP. So if he could have had that drop, he would have been, you know, you would have been praying to Lord PUBG gods themselves, but unfortunately he didn't get it. So YKG being able to come out with the win on that. But I mean, looking at some of the highlights, the Vector's not my favorite gun, but in that situation, he absolutely beamed the A's player with it.
Man, yes, he did. We saw a lot of players get beamed here in this one, you know, and Chief was doing a whole lot of that, like you mentioned. I mean, from Loops crushing it, almost an entire chicken dinner in points just by himself. Then we saw, you know, YKG all the way here at the edge in zone number 3, pushing their way to the center. And man, this is the YKG I think we've been waiting to see here, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, YKG definitely feeling good, and Enigma mentioned it. The glue here this game had to have been Chico with 6 elims, definitely holding it together. But 24K in here, both going out with the 2-piece themselves. So this team putting in a lot of work, but it's hard to match the highlight montage that Chief had this game. I mean, 9 elims, over 1K damage done. My dude was just hitting them shots here. As Fate, oh, the BM. Hey, Fate, that's a nice molly. That's what Telly's saying to him right there.
You know what? Sometimes it takes a good IGL to just let your team know, hey, you know what? We are not going to put up with this nonsense. And Fate teaching Telly the hard way here, Enigma.
Oh, and I mean, I don't think if Telly really needs to be knowing, or if it's just maybe Fate was just thinking ahead too much and the memo didn't get to Telly about the molly.
He's got
the celestial brain or something. He sent it by carrier pigeon. I don't know what's going on with that, but
could have been a fax. Could have been a fax. But you know what's being a fax, dude? Fears with that MG3, right?
Wow.
Oh my gosh, disgusting. That is the weapon to have, and a beautiful Molotov as well to take things down. I think this is the game, honestly, YKG needed, because we saw there in match number 1 the hesitancy, right? Once you get a good chicken dinner under your belt, though, you're able to finish strong. Maybe that'll finally just give them that, you know, that little extra sauce they need to be like, you know what? Yeah, you know what? We can take on this lobby here, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, I love me some extra sauce. I always ask for it on the side. If they try to charge me, I said, nah, just throw it in the bag, forget about it. But talking about the extra sauce here, you know who else had it this game? Hyper, 70 limbs, 1.5k damage done. I feel like this was a game, this Miramar game was truly a game for NA as a whole to start showing up here in season number 3.
Hey, but you know what? It's hard to do so too when you got, you know, Loops all the way from Brazil still showing up on the board here. Chief, 9 total eliminations, crazy damage. But you know, Chico, again, a great performance from him as well. So look at the rankings here. YKG busting down 20 points. Loop's gonna get 19 because of that 13 elimination game here. And then Hyper officially doing more in this match than they have done in every match so far played in this season combined.
Nice.
Not a lie. You know, that's factual, so can't argue with that one, Hot Jukes. And hopefully, you know, it's just the start. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it takes a couple matches to really get that synergy flowing and to really get your head in the game. So talking about teams that really need to get their head in the game, I'm surprised. C4, I know they're overall on the overalls like in the mid pack, but still, I mean, we're talking about back-to-back finals champions, Hot Jukes. Where have they been?
You know what? Speaking of where have they been, where has Intense Game been? Okay, Intense Game put a lot of goose egg here in match number 2, Enigma, and just like that, they have been dropped all the way down to 4th place.
And I mean, for them, I was expecting them to at least get some points. I gave them a lot of praise, you know, pre-match about they maybe can get the 20-something kills, and then Loops heard that and they're like, nah, we can one up that. And Chief just comes out and drops, you know, double digits basically for his team alone, almost passing up YKG on the total points of the last match. But I'm kind of looking at the Zombie Boys, Dave, and it's not looking that good.
It's all planned, man. It's all scripted, all right? Just wait till that last day. They're going to start just shooting up. Next thing you know, they're in 2nd place in the finals, baby. But
tinfoil cap.
Hey, you guys said that last season. Just putting it out there. I can go back to the VOD. But I think what we were surprised with is tonight IG, only 4 points is what we were told.
Wow.
Only 4 points. So they are definitely slipping and sliding on this overall leaderboard.
Well, slipping and sliding. Hopefully they can slide their way up the leaderboards here. We got 2 more matches left to go, everybody. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back after this break. everybody. Oh, look at this. We got some new faces. Big thank you to, of course, Enigma and Dave for starting us out here. But now we've got Colin and Uneven to finish us out today. Boys, how are you feeling? Colin, what do you think about so far here today?
I'm loving the action so far here today. There's a couple of teams that I'm a little disappointed in based on last week's performance. I really expected them to stay at the front of the train and be basically the engineers coming down those tracks. Some of those teams, they've taken another step back, while other teams, they've taken it as their opportunity to step up, and show out. And I'm really impressed with that.
Woo, speaking of show out, right? North America finally on the board. And we have a North American native, right? Uneven, right? Now back, what do you think so far about today's gameplay?
You know, this is the first day I've watched fully and in depth, and you know, I'm impressed. Same old, you know, Brazil dominating. It's nothing new, but you know, NA's showing up. We got at least one contender, and they played well last game. So yeah, that's what I like to see.
Yes, sir, indeed. Yes, sir, dude. Good to be able to. I'm so excited to get you guys' takes here as we get into this next match, and we're going to Uneven's favorite map. Vikendi.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
I love Vikendi.
Oh, I know you do, brother. So why don't you go ahead and just talk about what do you think about, you know, which team? I want to get just kind of your predictions here for your first time here on the desk.
I mean, just looking at the last two games, how can you not assume that Loops is going to do good? A first place and a second place, pretty much first place because of how many points they got, kill points they managed to rack up. I think they're playing really, really well. They got a good momentum going, and that they're going to keep it up in this third game for sure.
Ooh, I mean, Chief, right? Chief absolutely popped off a little earlier, Colin. Do you agree with that take, or is there another team you got your eye on?
Well, I really agree with that take first and foremost, but let's not forget that last week, Intense Game really came out. They finished second, I believe, second and third the first two games, but then they came out and finished off back-to-back dubs. You see YKG and Loops, they're looking to avoid that kind of upset because on the flip end of that, ATON started off with back-to-back wins and have officially gone out early and often every game since.
Where are they, bro? Where are they?
Hey,
you know,
I'm looking at Intense Game, but where are they?
You know, it's so crazy. You know, Intense Game, 4 points so far today. And it's crazy to think that we saw them in a Miramar in a previous season get like 20 eliminations, go crazy, and, you know, maybe a little bit of a stifle. Now, one thing that we've seen in the past is usually a team that dominates, right? They are that most studied squad. I talked about that a little bit earlier, right? So many eyes on them. A lot of teams have been trying to see their rotation, study them. Do you think that's kind of a factor coming into today and why they're struggling? Or do you think that, you know, they're so far ahead that they just decided to try something different here? And even what would your guess be?
You know, I think that might have a factor, but I think more probable is that, you know, sometimes you have bad games. PUBG has a lot of RNG, and momentum is a very real thing especially on a day-to-day basis. It stacks up over multiple days as well, but on a singular day, I think it's especially for newer players and newer teams, it's very powerful, the effect that both negatively and positively momentum has. You know, when you start losing, you just keep on losing, and when you start winning, you keep on winning. You know, we see that again and again in every tournament.
Okay, all right. Well, you know, let's just kind of think about that. Well, you know what? I think it's time to get this map started, baby. We're going into Vikendi. All right, so Colin, Uneven, take it away.
And as we heard earlier, this is going to be Uneven's favorite map. So real quick, Uneven, break it down for the viewers and anybody that might be new to it. What do you look for the most in a map of Vikendi?
Well, you know, with the amount of compounds that there are on this map, every single time we see a Vikendi game, we see some juicy CQC action, and that's my favorite, right? There's going to be some building fights, there's going to be some good movement, some quick flicky aim, and you know that was my forte, of course, and that's why I always excelled on this map and why I like this map so much, amongst other reasons. But yeah, we can expect some building fights for sure, and some you know, grungy fighting.
What I couldn't expect is that player from N-Hyper was really checking out the skyline there for just a few moments after having landed and having a teammate bump into him with the old snowmobile saying, hey, brother, you there with us? You coming along for the ride? And no, they hung out in the street and just continued to enjoy the skyline above them. But here's Jaguar already with a player down, about to be cleaned on up in the very first elimination, it looks like, will go on over to Execute as they pick up one of those players from Jaguar, and that's going to be Casper coming away with the old melee elimination.
Oh yeah, starting off the CQC right off the bat, just how I like it, you know. I mean, personally, actually, I don't like hot dropping. I think it's a bit of a mistake. This is still a qualifier rounds, so I see a lot of teams in this league hot dropping right now and kind of trying to establish their drop and their positioning. But I don't want to see this much of that in the finals. Here we see another hot drop.
I was going to say, about right there, you got that 3v1 there on the step. Sicko is down, and it looks like JP from C4 is all by his lonesome, looking to try to find his way into a building. He's going to back on out here. Tommy gun in tow, picking up some of that ammo, going around to the backside of the building, gets tagged up a little bit, is hurt, and goes down, and C4, see you later. They go out very first in this map 3 Vikendi and Uneven. You're talking about those hot drops coming back to bite you, even though it's a qualifying round. Is that one of those things where now C4 basically just has to sit back, relax, and watch the rest of this map? Is there much you could talk about when you get eliminated that quickly?
Oh yeah, it's a horrible feeling, and you have to sit through such a long amount of, right, because you die at the beginning of the game. Usually when you die, it's pretty far into the late game. You have to wait maybe 5-10 minutes before the next match, but here you got to wait the whole whopping 30 minutes and the intermission and everything, so it stings. I really don't like dying off drop. It feels like a waste of time, waste of, you know, potential points, of course. Yeah, huge opposer. I don't like fighting early, but again, you know, this is qualifier rounds, and it's important to establish your position. You can't just give up your position at the slightest, you know, challenge, but you do have to know when to rotate and when to accept defeat and to, you know, focus on the big picture. There's a lot of points to make in these games that you're sacrificing off stubbornness, but yeah.
Right now, it looks like some of the stubbornness is going to come back to bite the ace of spades here, as Ace has got 3 players kind of matched up in a couple of buildings back-to-back, with Kiddo being very hurt. And I believe Little Boy is looking for that little bit of a peek. He's trying to just shoulder peek that window, get that pre-fire off, maybe window to window, get that knock, but will not be able to get it at all right here. And this is going to be Federal, somebody who had a couple of double kills last week early in games, is starting to push up, has been the tip of the spear for a long time, but this is going to be Everest. Let's pop on over to them, as it looks like here, Everest will see that it is Loops barreling down onto them, and Loops already with an elimination. Looks like they're trying to find a couple more here, as it looks like MEZEXIS Esports is going to be just holed up in these couple of buildings. Look at this, going building to building. Is this going to be a Batman play? Is this a Batman play here on Avon?
That's one of the wonderful elements of Vikendi. There's all sorts of roof action you can do in everywhere across the map, and it allows for some really creative takes and angles that you don't see on any other map for sure. I remember this. You gotta look everywhere.
Got to keep your eyes and your head on a swivel, but here we go. Baton looking to try to get some shots on with a shot. He gets knocked and will get eliminated out here. Ayala with a knock and a kill, a cleanup, excuse me. Everest, they're going to get the call out. Last player alive for their squad. And Uneven, do you believe right here with it? Oh my goodness gracious, good God almighty! That was an M4 from way downtown, it looked like, Uneven.
Yeah. This is a really nice angle from Federal here. Really experienced player. He's done this a lot of times before. I really like this information he's getting. Huge knock. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, that was a nice cleanup right there.
Unbelievable. And Uneven, you talk about it being an experienced player, so clearly you've seen that kind of angle before. Talk me through that. Is he waiting for a call out? Is he waiting for movement? What is he waiting on in that situation? What do you think is the thing that sends him into action?
Well, right there, he's gathering all the information for his teammates, right? He's got that nice left-hand TPP peek. He's in complete safety. There's nothing that can... He knows exactly the movement of the enemy that he's looking at and where he's at on the stairs, and he's basically relaying that information to his teammates, waiting for them to pressure, and on that pressure timing, when they're pushing the bottom, and he's gonna, you know, come towards the top, he jumps, he uses the DBS, and hits the shot. You know, that's perfectly played from him.
And right here, we went on board. Let's take a look at this again. Break this down like a shotgun like you just did. You see him get the hop, the drop, and unbelievable shots by Federal to get that knock in the final elimination on Kiddo, an ace of spades, completely eliminated. I mean, they were in those couple of buildings. All the information was on the side. of INF there. And I believe one of those things that you got to just realize, you might be outmanned, outgunned, and outnumbered. You might have to get out of here, but this is an intense game here. And we got to hear earlier, a couple of binoculars came out looking for him. Well, we found them, and they're all huddled up in a car together. What do you think they're rocking out to? What are the slow jams going on the radio?
I don't think there's much music going on. I wouldn't be very happy with but it's again one of the tropes of one of the classics of Vikendi is the lack of cars on this map, and you see a lot of teams rotating in a single car. It's happened so many times, and you're very susceptible to getting quadruple kills from car explosions, and obviously this also susceptible for that to happen to your own team and end your game in a very tragic way, especially with the Zimas, that they have this little purple car that Kindness is driving. It blows up very, very quickly. So if that's the only car your team has, you're in a very precarious position, and it's quite dangerous.
That's a buyer beware situation, an intense game. All four players hopping out of the car now. They might be just outmatched inside of that building, but they pick up the first elimination there on to Stellar, and they're starting to encircle, starting to surround this building. This is going to be Adrian. Adrian shots out with another knock. Beautiful job there, and it looks like Long is going to try to get himself long and away from here, but shots ringing out into the car, and only a few more shots might get the explosion as you talked about earlier.
He managed to get the headshot there, but yeah, that car was already smoking with, like barely one clip of AK and then his teammates. Yeah, they're very, very weak cars. You got to be really careful. You got to think about that.
Now we got intense game, and I believe the closest team to them, you can see off in the distance, is YKG. They are very close together, and YKG has been on fire here tonight. They are still 4 up, full health. They don't have any elimination points yet, but they are kind of taking their fights methodically. They are picking and choosing their spots to the best of their ability. We go live with Chico looking across that snowy couple of hills, and I believe he's got to be aware that that fight just broke out and went down across the way. So with the way that YKG has played tonight uneven, what do you think is the call out here? Man up in the building, wait for him, or are they going to go on to the attack?
So with this circle, right, we see a large river separating two halves of the map. Essentially, it's 50-50 based on the next hard shift of which side it's going to end up on. And so they've picked the west side, and they're hoping for the ship to come in their direction. They're sitting in their compound. They're not taking any ground, because essentially, there's no use to it. It's a really common strategy for Vikendi to just pick a compound, play it all, or play very condensed inside that compound and wait for crashes and wait for the zone shift and hope that you get it, because there's not much else to do. You don't know where it's going to end up, and it's very hard to hold a productive split positions that'll end up on both sides. So this is as good as it gets. They're also very close to the bridge cross that goes through Castle. So in the unfortunate event that it does end up on the east side, they're going to go ahead and full send it through that Castle bridge. I believe that's what they're planning on. So all they're thinking about was, let's find a compound, we pick a side, east or west, let's hope it goes west, and let's play near the bridge so that we have first-hand access to that bridge, and we can try to go as fast as possible when it hard shifts east, or in the case that it hard shifts.
My man Uneven has basically laid out a battle plan, and I'm hoping that they're watching the stream. I'm hoping they're listening to what you're laying out, because it sounds like you've got all angles covered. And here, intense game, shooting down on the Black Mamba. That's going to be Bishop going down. Cat God looking to maybe return some fire right here inside of the building. That last player from Black Mamba just waiting for his possible push out. M4 looking all the way down the hill, though, from Adrian. And, I mean, this is a great spot here. Last week, my main man, Enigma, was letting me know. He said, Colin, look, let me tell you right now, you got that M4 in your hands. You got a chance at getting a little flick kill every now and again. You just kind of give that thing a couple of taps. You might come away with a quick elimination. So it looks like Adrian's trying to go with the Enigma play. That's what I'm going to start calling it, because that's the one thing that he told me.
Oh, yeah, the M4 is by far the best gun in this game. You can hit double headshot kills. If you get just a little bit of luck and both bullets hit the head, that's a kill right there. That's an opening. And you still have 28 bullets left in your clip to do some serious damage. With this hard shift we just got right here, it's turned into almost an 80-20 split, favoring the east side of the map, the east side of the river rather. So now we're gonna have to probably be thinking about how we're going to enter the east side for the YKG team. Oh, but we got a fight going off here.
Woo. PASSIONFRUIT looking to try to get into this building, and you can see Ayala throwing, I believe, a Molotov at the bottom of the stairs, has pulled the pin on a grenade, and now we're going to have some heals coming through. This Wancho here to the top side, but explosions going off left, right, and center. One player still knocked here for Loops, and PASSIONFRUIT still trying to break into this building. PASSIONFRUIT bottom side of the building. Looking at the stairwell. Valak outside. Is Valak just kind of playing the escape route, waiting for somebody to jump out to try to get the easy shots?
Yeah, he was angling out for some utility there because, you know, it's deceivingly hard to make that push, and it's been done on the world stage, if you remember, or I don't know if you watched, but PMCO 2019, a Chinese top esports member did a 1v4 from this exact position, so you don't want to full rush up the stairs. You do want to slow down just like them, spread out, use your utility, try to pop it off. And it is also good, as you pointed out, to have someone on the outside watching in case he does jump. That is always a good thing to do, a good strategy to run when you're executing these houses. They played that very well.
Baby, I ain't gonna lie to you. You talking about a play from 2019. It's hard for me to remember what I had for breakfast this morning. So for you to have that kind of lockstep and steel trap memory just impresses me to all high heavens here. But it looks like Joey throwing out some smokes, trying to give some cover for his team, is starting to rotate back. 24.
Yeah, they're on the edge here. They're taking a fight that they do not want to have. This is a completely suffocating position from IG. They're controlling their all means of escapes. I don't even think YKG have a vehicle here. This is not looking good, I'm not going to lie.
Well, they're continuing to throw smokes across the street, and it looks like 24 Karat is just kind of trying to pop his head, maybe get some intel, but this is going to be Diego. Diego looking over that window is going to pop his head, say, peekaboo, 1 down, 3 to go. Now looking to find the second, does so. Joey Chico last up for the squadron. YKG losing 2 players early to an elimination to intense games.
Shots.
They must have heard us talking that trash. Do you think, Uneven?
Maybe. Those were really clean crouch peeks. I like to see mechanics like that. I'm not sure what region IG is from, but that's some solid gameplay. I hope they're NA, but I'm not sure.
Well, Chico, I mean, doing a little prone crawl here, but gets caught by a fragmentation grenade. Those things are nobody's friends ever.
Yeah, nothing to do here. I think YKG had to accept their fate and hit that bridge rotation early. You know, they tried to wait it out and try. I think what they were thinking is they were hoping that everybody would clear out, everybody would do those early rotations, and they'd have a nice clean path through, but that was not the case, and they ended up getting stuck, no vehicles, hard edge, and totally surrounded and taken care of.
My brother, we must have the caster curse because we come into this with Loops and YKG being absolutely on fire. You and I must be made of fire extinguishers or flame retardant equipment because right now they're both out with Loops having the 3 elimination points, YKG getting 0, but both of them going out outside, well, top 10, top 11. So I don't know if we cursed them or not, but same kind of thing happened last week. 2 teams kind of started hot. One of them fell off. The other one only got better, which was Intense Game. Intense Game here is also getting a lot better. They already got 8 elims, my man.
You know, that's the thing about Vikendi. Personally, I think it's, if you understand the map well and how the zones work, it's one of the more consistent maps that you can predict. But a lot of people tend to think it's the opposite because there's a lot of compounds, there's a lot of really scrappy fights, and sometimes things doesn't go your way, and you're gonna get into a fight early, and if you lose it, you don't get any points. You know, it's a harsh mistress. Vikendi is, but if you play it well, it can be one of the most consistent maps for sure. I think
Federal is way up on this mountainside. I was trying to take a look at that last kind of scenic shot we had of where Flaw was because it looked like he was way above the zombie boys as well. But now we've got Adrian throwing out, I believe, what would be a smoke in the area to maybe try to get the revive, but will not be able to pick that one up. So Intense Game losing one of its players. Diego.
Yeah. So IG were too scared to cross the bridge here. They go ahead and send the north side and crash the first compound that they saw across the ice part of the river, and they get punished for it. It's a hard thing to execute, right? You're going in with no information. They essentially crashed the first compound they found, and you know, they got punished. There was a setup ready for them.
I don't want to lie to you. I kind of like that Passion Fruit is taking this fight just from the simple fact that they're down to one more member. They've already got 4 elimination points. And if, he comes away with a couple of big kills, there's a chance that they bump themselves up into a better rank as well as getting more elimination points. But Zombie Boys had 4 up, 4 alive on the opposite side of the map. 2 players already down from Zombie Boys on the opposite side of the map. This is going to be Extreme Slayers looking down toward Diego and Adrian, along with 1 player from Black Mamba left alive. I mean, they are pretty much in no man's land. Remix has all sight sounds and possibilities in front of him. My man has the entire arsenal to pick from.
Yeah, you got that right. Those guys are dead no matter what in the next circle. There's no making out of that alive. So just try to get the last kill point and move on for IG.
Take a look at that. Passion Fruit comes away with a kill there on the back of Wancho, and that takes them all the way back to having both players up and alive still. And they've eliminated N Hyper with 2 eliminations to their name. So already in the top 7 situation. Zombie Boys trying not to get eliminated here with 4, but this is going to be Julio. It looks like he is at the bottom behind that rock. He's looking around for a couple of different players that might have sights on him. This is a very risky revive, and it is indeed a risky one because he loses his teammate as he crouches. And this is going to be Influence Kemen's Lil Boy looking down on these last few members from Zombie Boys. And I mean, I think that's one of 3 players left. They put themselves on the high ground. They've gone straight Obi-Wan Kenobi here, and they're telling him, don't try it, Anakin.
Yeah, that's a wonderful position, obviously, to pick up some kill points here. Super high ground. Nobody can touch you if you play correctly, and you can see and gather a lot of information for your teammates, as well as, pick up those points if you see it. Passion Fruit actually have a dead center compound here, and oh, never mind. As I said that, they're getting crashed right now. I was about to say, they have a good chance of surviving. Oh, yeah, nope, never mind. They had a good position to try to shack up and try to get some more placement points and get into the hyper late game, but this team, who is it?
Oh, no.
Decided to take care of them. AT7.
That's going to be ATON, and ATON is going to get some Molotovs in there. Passion Fruit's going to go down, and we go onto the back of ATON Esports, and Nitsu here will go in for a little bit of looting. He's going to go for the grab bag, but this is going to be Execute. All 4 players left alive coming over the top side of that hill. They will be waiting for him, so they know that Execute's in the area. They know that Execute has a chance to try to push him, but is this Execute rotating around? Are they rotating away from the fight onto the opposite side of the map? Is there any specific reason for this?
Well, they know Aton's 4 up, and they know that it's you see there's a wide open cross to crash this. And also, honestly, I don't like Aton's position right now. I'm not going to lie. These buildings are low ground between 2 hills. They're wide open. There's a few trees for cover. I think their next rotation is very difficult, and considering they're on the edge of the map, it's very unlikely that they're going to get the next zone. So I think Execute are intelligently deciding to it's not worth it. Even if we do clean wipe, get the compound. I mean, I guess that would be ideal if you can clean wipe, not get third-partied, and then leave that position, just, take those points. But, that's pretty unlikely. I think they're going to go with the safer play of try to maintain their high ground on that hill, maintain a nice split across the south border, and, have a nice, easier time in the next rotation, next circle. Because it's important to think about the next circle, not just the one that you're in. It's very hard for Aton to move in this next time between these 2 teams.
Always keeping your eyes forward, eyes on the prize. We got 2 teams full squatted, 2 teams losing 1 player. Extreme Slayers, you saw them lose a player to Federal just a few moments ago as Federal was top side of that zone. And this is going to be Casper, backside of the rock, very edge of the zone. Has to actually move in to be able to get inside of the zone. And this is going to be Aton. Aton has a lot of players around them. Extreme Slayers, top side of that hill. Would be able to look down onto them, but I believe they have lost their line of sight, and that is going to be M4 just ringing out into the smoke, but there's a knock coming through. Aton fighting back with everything they can. This is going to be Remix inside of the shed, trying to get at least 1 knock, trying to get a teammate to get some help down here. Molotov out inside of that shed, lighting the place up, and it's not the music going off, baby. It's just the flames from that bottle, and that will be a couple more elims in the pocket of Aton. They have 2 players knocked, 2 players left alive. Execute, they are playing the long game. Extreme Slayers out in 4th place. Execute still with 4 players alive. And while we see Federal still holding the top side of the hill, opposite side of this circle, they have looked ahead and they have found themselves, I would say, probably the luckiest position uneven.
This is, well, I don't think it's that. I don't think it's luck. I think it's a really good IGLing from Fate here. This is a good position to take. They're maintaining high ground, which is crucial for these late games. I'm surprised that that team that just died didn't find a better rotation into the northern side, and that they decided to crash ATON. I'm surprised that they thought that was their best play, but sometimes there's nothing playable. It's hard to see from our angles. But here, I think, INF get the hard shift. So this is, even though Execute played it to the best of their abilities, this is going to be a very hard game to close out.
Yeah, and it looks like Aton's going to get a revive here inside of that shed. This could throw an even bigger wrench in the game plan of Execute.
Yeah.
As Execute's on this right side, and as they push across toward Flaw, toward Lil Boy, toward Federal, they've got to worry about Aton shooting up the hill at him as they try to rotate. They got to be able to use these trees to double advantage. They got to be able to protect themselves from the front and the 90 degree, but it looks like they're going to pop some painkillers here and get ready for the move up.
Yeah, I think Execute have lost this. INF got the priority over the compound. I think it was kind of crucial to take that as fast as possible. This is really well played from INF. They're pretty much sitting pretty now. Aton and Execute are going to move at roughly the same time. Or the zone, the zone's going to push them both out at the same time, so they're going to trade damages. Aton's going to go down third, I'm guessing, and then INF's going to do a nice cleanup. Just hold them while they're rotating, running in towards them.
I was going to say, I like that position right there from Flaw above Federal. If you take a look at where Flaw was kind of creeping up and down that ramp on the backside of that building. I love that little peak, that little heady right there.
Yeah, it's really good if you do some clean crouch peeks like these Brazilians know how to do. Boom, that's clean. You really can never die. It's a really advantageous in TPP. You can see them, they can't see you. And if you're quick enough, fast enough with the crouch peeks, there's no losing that fight.
Well, like you said, Aton, they've got one left. Execute, they've got two left. And I think Fate has hopped into the vehicle and might try to go for a little suicide dive, a little rush here across the ring, and will get as close as he can. Shotgun in hand, and this is going to be a 3v1 situation, really 3v2 if his teammate can get into the position as well. Aton have the left hand 90 degree as well. This is going to be Fate pushing up into the building and is going to hide behind that car. Federal with a nade in hand, as well as Flaw. They both have nades in hand. They're looking to try to get some throws to go in these windowsills. Now they go to the backside of the wall. I don't know if they know they're in the building right now.
Yeah, they don't know. I'm surprised they gave up that building. It's kind of a nice building to hold. You could have shot them on the rotation and played around and kind of pressured them. Now you let them take ground and go into the compound. I don't love this decision from them, but I still think it should be a nice clean. Oh, great grenade from Federal. That's nice. He doesn't see anything there. That was blind.
Telly holding this right shoulder right here, this right angle, trying to look across, protect Fate's left-hand side of his building, his right, Fate's left. Fate goes to the top side of the building, throwing out some grenades. Federal will kind of bounce back and forth. We are in the final zone breaking down, though, here shortly. Yep. You have less than 30 seconds, and it's going to be all over. But the crying, as you see Telly and Fate, the two players left alive for Execute. Little Boy, Flaw, Federal, looking to gather up a win here. Shots ring out back and forth. Fate holding the M4, I believe Telly holding a Molotov cocktail. If he were to somehow land this thing on top of that roof, I would go crazy. You'd hear my mic get real quiet because I'd be running away from this setup, losing my absolute mind if he were to find the touch on that Molotov.
Yeah, with some good utility, they have a chance here. INF kind of slipped up and gave him a chance. Telly's got to utilize these smokes and close the ground as much as possible. And if you get a nice opening with the molly, Federal got knocked down to 25% with that nade. That would have been huge. But one opening and it's down to a 2v2. Of course, they still got defender's advantage. So it's on X to win this game, but it's possible.
Well, let's see if it's going to be possible. I mean, you said there's a chance. There's always a chance. There's a puncher's chance in every boxing match. You got to come out swinging to try to get that puncher's chance to go. But Federal, in my opinion, has the God spot here. He's looking down into that giant window. If anybody comes up those stairs, he is an easy couple of shots away from a knock. Fate bottom floor, Telly top floor, uneven as we go into the final few seconds of this fight. Is it going to break down into who gets off first shot with that big old shotgun in Fate's hands?
It's going to be hard for Fate to hit this shot. I'm not going to lie. It's impossible to clear Federal's position with utility. I don't even think they know he's there. INF's pushing up here. baiting the grenade sound, but not using it. I don't think Fate's going to be able to land any shots here. They've got control of the center, and now Execute has to. The zone's going to push them out, so they have to push into them and into their setup that they have, and they've got no utility opening.
Ooh, saw the shoulder right there. You know he saw it. He's kicking himself for going for that. He said, oh my God, if I'd have had the shotty out, I'd have had a chance right there. I could have pulled the trigger at least once before my man ducked out behind the wall. There's going to be Fate pushing into the backside of that wall. Telly right there with him. Both of them kind of locked in step in this moment. And as they go out the door, it's going to break down quite religiously. And Fate, he's going to handle his fate. He said, look, I'm not surrendering, but both hands are up right now, okay? Both hands is up right now.
I don't know what that was. I don't know if he just DC'd for the last fight or he just gave up. But,
Jukes, that is a heck of a winner chicken dinner. We were talking about kind of the tipping of the scales back and forth. You called out some teams. I called out some teams. We hyped up some other teams, and they fell flat. I asked my man Uneven, are we the curse? I'm going to ask you now, too. Are we the curse?
I don't know, dude. I don't know. I think maybe Fate got cursed there towards the end. But you know what? I'll say that he gave it his best effort. He gave it his best, or you get the good old college try, all right? But you know what? It was pretty crazy to see, though. I do think that it was a little bit of a slip-up for INF to even allow that opening in the first place. I think you called it perfect, and even once that circle zone shifted to them, I saw it the way you did. I thought ATON was going to get wiped out, and then we're going to see, Execute taken out earlier. But they did allow that door to open. But you know what? Overall, I think it's a great, finally, to see Influence Kemen pop off here in week 2.
Super experienced roster. I remember playing against these players way back in the day, so they've played Vikendi more times. Some of these players might not have even played Vikendi in competitive since they've taken it away, but these guys have played it, and I'm glad to see them still going strong. The old guys can still do it.
Hey, you know what, dude? Fed it out with that jump down DBS. I think that was the hype they needed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Colin, that was absolutely gorgeous. Intense game. They were able to put some points on the board here finally as well. They got some nice early eliminations. What do you think about that?
They heard you call them out, okay? They saw your binoculars. They say, you want to see where we are? We'll show you where we is, okay? Don't worry about us. We're going to find a way to put on a little highlight reel for you. We're going to put in some perfect positioning. My man Uneven, you could hear him drawing it up on a whiteboard with the way he was calling out that last play we saw on the replay feed right there. He said, look, Intense's got him kind of boxed in at both 90s. They got to cross no man's land in the street. I'm telling you right now, Uneven might have a bigger brain than Enigma. I might have to get the two of them side by side and get out the measure, because both of them boys are hitting me with more knowledge than an encyclopedia set from the 90s, my man.
You know what? I'll tell you what, though. That big brain moment was great right here. This is probably one of my favorite shouts for me right here, Uneven. When you were like, Passion Fruit, I love their position. They look really good. Oh, and they're getting crashed. And they're gone.
Not ideal. Well, when there's a good position, there's always the danger that somebody else wants it too. So, I mean, that comes with the territory. But, they did the best they could as a duo. Now that I look back at this clip, actually, I think the reason that INF kind of gave up that house and allowed that chance was because they weren't exactly sure with the kill feed how many of each team were left, and they could be a 3v4 situation. INF only has 3 members up, and they didn't really want to spread themselves too thin. It happens, but they didn't know that Execute was only 3. I think that was the logic behind that.
I think that's a good point, and 2, you called it the God spot calling, right? Getting on top of that roof and being able to use that TPP peak advantage, that's hard to give up. So, at the end of the day, they got the baker's dozen in 13 eliminations right here. This is a huge pop-off performance for them.
I mean, not just that. Look at this. Across the board. Lil boy said, I ain't no little boy. I'm a big man on this map, okay? You want to see me? I'm big as Shaq on this bad boy. You want to see somebody put up numbers like me? You better be looking far and wide, because he had every statistical category on lock right here. I just was gonna say one of them boys is cheating. You see that big old eye tattoo? It's not fair to have 3 eyeballs. How you gonna have 3 eyes on a TTP map?
I'm telling you, it's the eyebrow slit. Once you put it in there, Uneven, you've seen it. I know you've gone against plenty of Brazilian players yourself.
Oh, yeah.
And once it really just comes in hot, it's hard to stop. Look at that. Went 23 total points on the board. Execute finished second, but they ended up with 9. ATON Esports, some more points as well with 13. I mean, what do you feel overall about the leaderboards? Looking at it now, and even after this match.
I think ATON played really well. I was watching their position. We didn't get a lot of camera time because, oftentimes when you're playing a game really well, you tend not to get into the hype moments that the casters want to see, and you kind of tend to fall in the shadows. But they were playing the center of the map really well. They had a really good control over the bridge cross. They had a 2-2 split controlling the bridge cross at the dead center of the map. Basically, any team that tries to cross from west to east, as you know, some of them should. No teams ended up doing it, but if they had, they would have had free kills, and they had a great positioning and then great rotations after that. They played as well as they could, but the final zone shifted towards INF, and they're stuck in that compound as a duo. I think they played for what the circle gave them as good as they could.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I'm proud of them.
Yeah, I gotta agree. Yeah, they made that push on the passion fruits. That was the spot that they needed. And man, with that shift, they knew that they were in a losing battle, but they still put points on the board. That's what this game's all about. You're not gonna get those blessings, but how do you maximize that opportunity when you don't? And they definitely did. Look at that. Second place right now with 70. Loops up here with 74. And intense game saying, you know what? I'm tired of being in 4th place. Finally putting some points on the board today here, Colin.
Yeah, putting a lot of points. They have those 2 winner chicken dinners from last week. They had a lot of momentum. I thought they were going to come out firing on all cylinders, but I mean, it's like they popped the clutch. They kind of stalled right there in the driveway. They need a little refresher course on how to drive that manual and get on out in the map, and they decided to do that in the last one. I'm still impressed with the way Loops has gone, though. Loops last week had a 4v1 go in the favor of Mythic, and since then, Loops has been on a tear. They might not have the winner chicken dinners to show for it, but those boys have got the skills that thrill and give me the chills. I love watching them anytime they're on the screen.
Woo, that's what I'm talking about. Especially we saw Chief go absolutely insane in this last match here right before this one. And here they got 3 eliminations, so we gotta see a little quietness, a little cool down in Vikendi. But you talked about it earlier, uneven, right? It's the nature of the game, right? Sometimes you just have a bad match. How you bounce back for it is really what matters. And we did see, right, Intense Game have a little bit of a bounce back here, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's all about the points per game average, right? Single games don't matter. Of course, you want to maximize as many points as you can get, but sometimes you're gonna die early. You're gonna get a few points. It's all about the average. It's all about the consistency across 60 plus games, or I'm not sure however long the league is.
Right. Well, let me ask you this, right? As somebody who has been, heavily in the competitive scene, if you could mind just getting a little bit of a glimpse behind the curtain, right? After a bad match, right? What do you feel is like the main things to do, right, in order to get that bounce back game? Like, what are the biggest don'ts, right? How about that?
It depends on the context, but when it truly matters, you have to have like absolute resilience and like literally the best thing to do. Like, you're on LAN, it matters, every game matters. You forget about it. We don't even if it's a truly terrible game, we will do a very quick review. Like, it's a mistake that none of us should make. We don't even really need to break it down that badly. Just move on. Don't even talk about it. We're talking about next game immediately. The second you get caught up and you start letting, you're fighting that momentum the whole time, that negative momentum. You do not want that to happen when it counts. And so as soon as these games happen, there's certain players on a team that are kind of the pick-uppers, right? The guys that'll cheer you up. And that was me and Bayo. You cheer them up, cheer your teammates up. If they're down, get them up. Forget about it and play the next game. It does not matter. There's too many games to care about. You have to forget about it.
All right, hey, how about give them that hype speech? Ain't that right, Colin? Right? You gotta talk to them up and just say, hey, let's go. Let's get it going here as we go into this last Aaron Gale. I'm gonna ask you this, Colin. Okay, I need you to put on the coach hat, right? Right. Which team do you think right now needs that hype speech the most going into this last match?
Honest to God, I think it's got to be Zombie Boys. Zombie Boys has that third place finish early in the day, and then they kind of come out flat. Map 2, map 3. I'm going to get right behind him. I'm going to go into the locker room, put my coach's hat on. Here, look, I'll take the headset off so it looks like I'm talking right to the players. All right, I take the headset off. I'm going to go, boys, look, listen to me right now. You guys are too skilled. You're too talented. You're here for a reason. Listen to me when I say this. You got to go out there and not just show everybody because you've already proven it. You've got some winner chicken dinners. Now go out there and get a whole rotisserie and skin that bird alive, baby. We need another one.
Well said. Well said. No, seriously,
Talk about. Yeah, go ahead, David.
Hype speeches are crucial in esports. I'm dead serious. It's an undervalued talent. If you have a member that can really get your teammates excited, it's a super valuable skill to have.
Yeah, definitely, right? I mean, because somebody's got to bring that confidence back. And there's one thing I always said, in comp, you can practice, you can always get things done. But when the going gets tough, you just can't teach clutch, right? And to be able to talk to those players, get them a little bit pumped up, right? To be able to bring that greatness out of them and hopefully clutch it up towards the end. That's where it is at. And when it comes to Zombie Boys, they're going to need some. They're going to need some clutch here, this last one. And I think if they heard that speech, we might just see it. But we're going into this last Eric Gale match. Now, we've talked about it at the top of the show. 5,000 UC, all right? 5,000 UC, the best player in this lobby, right? When it comes to every single week. Solid, right? Standout players so far that you've seen, right? Who do you think possibly has a chance of getting that UC, that bread, that better?
You know what? I don't want to be a bandwagon, but I said his name enough. I'm sticking with somebody that had a bunch of double limbs last weekend, trying to work toward a bunch more, was in the God spot last game. Federall is about to be better all than the rest of them. He's going to be the man that stands head and shoulders above everybody else in the lobby. I'm looking at Federall to have one more standout, extravagant, absolutely magnanimous game here in map 4.
All right, uneven. What do you think, man? And who do you think it's gonna be, and who do you wish it would be?
Listen, was it ATON Choco that had that huge game? I think it's got to be him, or somebody had a 7-kill game. I think it was Choco.
Dude, Chief had 9.
Chief, that's who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
My bad, I messed that up. But you know who I wish it would be. Sixless, let's say. My
Hey, when in doubt, yell louder, baby. Let's go. Last match of the day. Call it uneven. Take it away.
Last match of the day, indeed. We're going to get right into this one, and we go back to what many people will say is the home of this game, Uneven. I asked you last map, tell me your thoughts, tell me your predictions. How do you think this gameplay moves out for these players? Break it down and corner the market for any fresh eyes on the product.
Erangel, it's hard to say. It is the most played, the most, I guess, the best map for the most amount of teams. As in they know how to play it the best out of any other map. But because so many teams know how to play this, it ends up being a lot harder to perform consistently, if that makes sense, right? Even though, say, you know how to play this map the best, everybody else does too. So it ends up being very competitive, very hard to get huge point games and to really get consistent Erangel map wins. It was never one of my best maps. But, here we're going to look for clean split, intelligent splits. Let me be precise, because a lot of people, I think do splits that aren't very intelligent, but we're going to look for really intelligent split controls and managing portions of the map to give yourself the biggest advantage for the next circles. That's what I'm going to be looking for, and to see who's really got a nice macro perspective on the game and how to control the zones that they want to control.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now, I want to have my eyes early on INF, as I've seen the past couple of times here we've played on this map. INF has been in a very early engagement, as I would like to say, building-to-building engagement against ATON Esports, because they both land here. at Yasnaya, and I think it's one of those POIs that's very intricate. There's a lot of buildings, a lot of loot you can pick up early, and once again, INF will land here across basically the township from ATON, and that's one of the things we got to kind of keep our eyes on. And on the opposite side of the street, PASSIONFRUIT also has a player or two landing in the area. So 3 early contenders for kind of standout map 4s, all landing in Yasnaya. Do you think that's going to come back to bite one of them? Would you have kind of pulled off and said, look, let's figure out a different game plan. Let's not go back there and keep getting into that early engagement with some of the other big dogs?
Yeah, most definitely. It's going to end up honestly negatively affecting probably all 3 of those teams. Even if you're the champion, it's very common that you'll lose someone, you'll lose even tempo, let's say. Like, even if you keep all 4 members alive and you get the wipes, sure, you'll have some points, but you'll lose tempo, and that can end up losing you the game because you don't get the right positions. And sometimes early game rotations are crucial. For this specific case, at least in game 1, it's actually a very different drop from game 1. Game 1, we saw PSF controlling like a huge percentage of the east side of the map, and those other 2 teams were condensed to those apartment buildings. So I thought it was a really good circle for PSF to basically enjoy all that loot and have also free reign to leave because there's nobody on their right-hand side. Now it's a bit more contested. ATON split up here. We see 2v1. We see a 2v1 here, isolated at the police station, we call it, on the east side. And they're also controlling that whole southern border. So it's a lot more complicated for PSF, and I don't think anybody's walking out of here unscathed unless INF choose to just get out of here, depending on whether or not they have car spawns. And even if they do, they're going to have really limited loot.
Oh! Was that your boy Sixless that you called out?
Sixless.
Your boy goes down early in this one. You had to put the pressure on him. He could feel the weight of the world on his shoulders with you being over there calling him out.
I must be cursed.
Nah, you ain't cursed, baby. You can't look that good and be cursed, okay? You can't have both. You got to be one or the other. You either got to look that good or you got to be cursed. I'll take the cursing for you. And I'll tell you right now, Sixless can't be happy with the way that played out. And it looks like PASSIONFRUIT is trying to get some kind of revenge. It looks like Chaco has gotten down.
Yeah, Sixless just did not know he knew his position, and he got naded out. I'm sure Sixless must have heard the nade tick and just didn't move for I don't know what reason. But this is a really bad opening here for PSF. Juancho's going to get isolated 4v1, nothing you can do. He's got no support from his teammates. He's just going to die.
My man is booking it. He's booking it too. He said, I ain't got no support. Let me get my legs underneath me. Will he get the hop? No, he'll drop. And that is a second elimination for ATON Esports there. Oh, no, I think Loop's got the first one. So Loop's had, no, there it is. There's the 2. It came up in the counter. I got worried for a second. I said, wait a minute. I know Sixes got killed, eliminated a minute ago by ATON. And now we see Nitsu taking over the top second and third stories here at the police station, as you called out earlier. I really dislike that for PASSIONFRUIT. As well as they played map 3, they come out really flat and almost lackluster, passionless in map 4.
And that's the nature of hot drops. There's way too many factors to control. There's no way. I've tried many times, and there's just no way to consistently outplay your opponents. It's even if you're better, they have a very hard, big chance of knocking you down, or at the very least getting 2 of you. Even if they end up surviving here, this game is basically, unless they can sneak into the late game zone and get those placement points up, which are very limited with this point system, only 10 points or for a win. Their game is basically over for no good reason. But, again, it's qualifiers. Assuming that they're confident in their ability to qualify, it's fine to lose a couple games to try to establish dominance. And INF, they get to loot decently, it appears. He's got level 1 armor, level 1 helmet, not too much ammo, so they were pretty limited in loot. But they've got cars and they got out of there. That's as best as you can hope from a hot drop, is getting out of there. Well, ideally, I guess you wipe and you wipe the other team and then loot everything and then rotate, but that just doesn't happen that way almost ever.
Taking a look at this circle right here, uneven, you can see teams starting to move into the very edges of it. Jaguar, Execute still way outside of that zone. All the way over at Milta right there, you see Execute having to come in the farthest But I think when you see that zone, do you have any insight? I know that the rings can kind of be randomized for a lot of people. It might not look like there's a lot of thought process. It's just a generator. But you took a look at that zone. You have a lot of playing experience. You tell me uneven. Where do you start to rotate when you see that's that first circle?
Right. Well, it does very depend on your landing spots and which spots you have priority over, because there are some power positions here. Similarly to the last map, here we see... Last map, it was the east and west split up by that large river down Vikendi. Here we see a river splitting our north and south. This is a very common circle. And here, just like the last game, I think the best position to play is one that's controlling one of the crosses. There's 4 places to cross. Well, there's 5 places to cross, but one of them can be controlled. Both bridges can be controlled from one location, essentially. And so if you're around these points, and even more ideally playing on both sides of these points, you control that bridge. Nobody can cross there, and if they do, you get free points. And if it goes north, you've got some players north already settled in that can go quickly to the next spot. And if it goes south, you've got some players on that south side. So I think Execute right now is playing on the north side. They're fully committing on the north side, but they're holding that bridge control, so this is pretty good. They're holding the control of 2 bridges, right? The Roshawk bridge that leads to the west of Roshawk, and then that little bridge that we used to call Lucky Bridge. Oh, and here's a fight.
Ooh, this is going to be Zombie Boys. They needed to hear that hype speech. They got 1. They're looking at 2.
Wow.
Can they finish it off? They already had 1 elim coming into this, turning and burning on a Mercy. Mercy will go down. That'll be a bunch of eliminations, and Zombie Boys know that they can probably get this revive off here, and that is going to give them a full squadron wipe, a full squad elimination. Joey from YKG, though, getting moved up onto the position of Federal. This is going to be INF, and right now, I think YKG and INF, this is a very awkward gunfight for both of them, being caught up on these hills. Little Boy trying to get at least 1 elimination there. Will find at least 1, has 2 to his name, and Lil Boy went from 6 at the end of that last game's highest elimination from game 3. Now he's up to that kind of 8 overall day total.
Yeah, very nicely played from INF. They've got really strong team fighting. They didn't even take a knock during that entire exchange. Also, that Zombies fight was very well played by those players. They utilized their crouch peaks on the on that little hill peak very well. They got super nice openings, great trades from them. That was a clean fight.
Zombie Boys got 8 elims, by the way. My man, Zombie Boys are feeling it. They're feeling good. They're feeling great. Let's go. YKG gets eliminated. They go from the top of the crop to they might as well be unstirred sugar in your coffee, because they sitting at the bottom of the cup, and back-to-back games here. They get eliminated early, and Hyper and Jaguar out as well. This is one of those situations where, again, teams that performed so exponentially good at the start of the day find themselves not just in the passenger seat, but they're being driven around like it was Miss Daisy.
I mean, it happens. The circle centered down again onto the river, meaning that Execute have again the best position in the zone from their movements in the first circle. They haven't even moved, and still they're controlling this bridge cross, as you can see, and they've got great control. I would have rather they played slightly more differently, like some presence on the southern side, but in the circle, I think this works totally fine as well. No one's playing on the sniper's nest that IG's trying to take.
Diego keeps throwing nades at that sniper's nest, and now I think he gets tagged up a little bit from the sight lines of Execute. Now we can see him. He's going to mark out 1 player toward that windowsill. He's waiting for a peek, waiting for him to show his eyes, but Fate from way away. Oh no, that was the man. He took his eyes off the window for 1 second, and XZ came back. Execute Z said, "Hey baby, don't you take your eyes off me. I'm gonna light you up in just a hot second."
Yeah, this is a pretty important fight for basically 2 teams that are trying to contest the best spot in the game right now. They both want this. Execute have the advantage, right? They're defending. Oh, they're going out on the offensive. This is going to be very precarious. This is going to be hard to pull off, I think.
Hey, look, high risk, high reward. Diego in the car, smokes out. Diego's trying to break out as well. He's trying to bug out here. Get back to his teammates. You talked about him having a couple of cars, and they do indeed have a couple of cars. But now I believe 1 player from Execute is kind of called out by himself. Fate on the top side of that hill. PASSIONFRUIT gets eliminated there in the feed. You can see across the map, but Telly, he's just picking up a little bit of intel for the man Telly there. And Fate, he's going to get on the motorbike and head back toward his squadron, I believe.
Fate needs to come back. They pushed him successfully away from their spot, so they did what they set out to do. Smart from IG, I guess, to not fight. I think they could have won that, but they're not taking the risk. So now the zone has chosen the northern side, and well, Executor are still all set from their position. I don't think they move. They have a nice hillside to play. They're still controlling if any last-second Southern teams come. I think Executor are sitting pretty.
Oh, you said Executor sitting pretty on the opposite side of that zone. You had Ace of Spades all the way at the northern side of the map. We go back live with Telly. Telly here, just backing up in the buggy, looking down at that bridge, and he's going to call out. There comes Black Mamba, 3 cars deep, throwing shots out at least the first one, and all 3 players in 3 different calls. Oh, my, I mean, hey, look, he said, I got an open shot. I might as well take it. But he's going to get the call out to his team. He says, hey, look, guys, they're coming from this bridge. We've got the setup already. My man Uneven has called it out for us. He said, look, we're sitting pretty. Let's show them we got lipstick on, baby, and show them just how pretty we are sitting.
Yeah, he had to fall there. I think they could have had a more substantial hold on that bridge. I think it would have been pretty nice if they had 2 holding that bridge right there. There's not much use in putting all 4 in the compound like they have now. Now it's kind of necessary because they let a team across. I think a bit more effort in holding this bridge would have probably been better, but, you know, hindsight is 20/20. What is this fight? Oh, IG on the western coast getting pulled up on from a wide rotate through.
Is he going to chow this? Is he going to try to keep those players off of his teammate, try to go for the revive? Because Diego's at the top of that hill, down and crawling out, but he's going to get the call out that he's going for the revive. This is where I think you can push that. If he gets the call out that he's right down there trying to get the pick. No, that's going to be, oh my goodness, they got that elimination there.
They got Ace helping them, like cover firing for them, but it's still not enough. It appears,
not enough indeed. That was a beautiful little shot.
Yeah, you can't lose that CQC for the high ground. This is a very bad position here, I'm not going to lie.
Ayala gets that shot on. Crazy getting a shot on. Now Zombie Boys are going to go from 8 to 12. If they can pick up some players from IG, Ace on the opposite side of the hill, this is going to be Diego going for the revive here. Diego trying to survey the area, but this is going to be Zombie Boys pushing up to the top side of the hill. Dune buggies in tow. Diego looking at the top, trying to get a flick. Won't be able to get the first shot. He's going to get tagged up into the smoke now. Medkit trying to get off here. Will he be able to get it off? Nade coming out, and he's going to throw it from downtown. And Ace of Spades on the opposite side of the hill will start to pick up some, but Sitta's going to go down. There goes the first pick from IG. Another Zombie Boy goes down. Zombie Boys, you were so promising. Don't fall apart here. Don't do it to me, baby. I was hoping and praying for you.
Yeah, there's so many angles that have eyes on this hill. It's super hard to fight this. It should really only be taken as a last resort option, which may have been the case for these teams, but right now every team that went and decided to take this hill has paid the price, and they've all died. This zone shift kind of favors Fate, or Execute rather. I like this this shift for them, but they under one condition, and that's that they have to kill that team that they let cross on the bridge. Now there's gonna be a fight. If they're able to hold them off, they have a nice ridge to view the rest of the map, and they have easy rotations from there. So they are hard south edge, but I still like that playing from that position. I played it several times.
I got a tear in my eye right now Uneven. They got 10 elims. Zombie Boys are looking not to get eliminated in 10th place in the map 4. They are just trying to hold on, and Julio, last alive for his squad, has hunkered down, and I'm pretty sure he's throwing out some prayers right now to try to make sure that they do not go out in 11th place, or 10th place, excuse me.
He should be good. I don't see why anybody would crash that compound. Nobody has eyes. You can't shoot through that door. It's a pretty safe compound, honestly speaking. So he should be good for one more circle. But once the next zone shift occurs, it's gonna be GG, I think.
Well, we'll be on.
Loops are very dead center. This is now the best compound in the game, I believe. It's got a really nice hill right in front of it that you've got to maintain control of, which I don't think they're doing. they're playing all inside the house if the map stream is relaying accurate information, which is kind of concerning, but still the best compound in the game.
Elos
Dead center.
knocked there.
A lot of control.
Ace of Spades already have a 4-player elimination, and now they get a knock on the Elos, and INF have a player go down themselves. So a couple of other big performers losing players here, middle part of the map. And everybody that goes down, it just makes it that much more precarious for their teammates trying to go forward, trying to get that winner chicken dinner to end the night. And this is going to be on the back of Ace of Spades.
Oh, if they can get this information on this fight in third party, this would be really nice.
Oh, can you see through that window? Can you see through the window? Can you
It just finished up. They missed their opportunity. They're in a fine position though. They're in zone. They've got the TPP peaks. They've got a lot of information which will allow them to have a nice clean rotation for the next one as well. Oh, INF. Is that INF or is that Loops in the dead center? I think that's Loops.
But I thought it was Loops in the dead center that you were talking about in that compound that could just be able to hold out here for the rest of the matchup. But it looks like INF losing Federal to a knock there, and I believe going out, and Loran trying to get one here as well.
East side, yeah.
Super Lazy Reflex eliminated in 9th place. We are top 8 now. Lil Boy trying to have the back of Federal, 2 players that were key to the success of INF in map 3, trying to keep each other in this map 4. They've got all 4 players alive. They have 6 elims, and as you take a look, it is Loops, dead center of the circle. Everybody has to play around that mountain range, and with the circle closing in, they're already inside the next one. They are squared away, and all they can do is wait for Ace, for Zombie Boys, for Execute to all rotate in from the south and the west side of the map.
Yeah, they've got a nice control over the mountain now. Unfortunately, with this kind of circle, it's ending up so there's about 3 teams I think that's going to end up targeting that mountain, so it's going to make it really hard to hold, even if you're doing it correctly. So, they're choosing to recondense into the house. I see it on the map stream now. They're going to give up the mountain control. It's a very hard thing to hold. Giving it up is not ideal either, right? Because then you'll have a team right over you. We'll have to see how they handle it, but if they can manage to clear up like the waves of zombies that are come after them, and they'll have a huge kill point game and a huge win as well.
What do you think of this from Extreme Slayers playing inside of the crash site? They've got INF down to the south side. I believe it's MEZEXIS to the north side as well. So 3 coming in from the north, INF from the south. They're inside the crash side of this plane. I think they're waiting for an ambush spot, correct?
Yeah. So the problem is that there are only 2. If there were 4 up and they were holding, they would have been holding this north side team that's coming in much better. But now they're just playing for surprise, hoping for some, good trades. Oh, Executor deciding to push INF on the east side. I like this. This is a good fight from Execute, I think. It's a winning play, right? Whoever gets control of this mountain is also in a very good position. It's going to be hard to do it, but if they can pull it off, they get the win, I think. Or they're in a good position to get the win.
Oh, Flaw goes down. Federal and Lil Boy have to fend off the rest of Execute. Federal finds 1 knock himself. Starts to rotate, tries to throw out shots to the right-hand side. Now Federal will go for the revive there. And it looks like Lil Boy gets a nade himself, and Lil Boy comes off a 6 elim map 3. He's looking to add to his total here. Execute has a couple of players down and crawling around. Fate goes down now, and Loran will be able to heal up in this position. And I believe they've put Execute really just on the back foot. 1 player left standing. 3 players knocked, and I don't know where that 4th player is going to go, but he better figure it out quick, fast, and in a hurry.
I think he ran south.
And he got eliminated.
I respect the play, though. If they're able to pull it off. I don't really like exactly how they took the fight. I think they could have definitely been more aggressive with their vehicles and their ground. They pretty much just pulled up low ground and kind of like let the utility rain down on them and gave them the high ground TPP peaks. It is a hard fight to pull off, but I respect the attempt. I think that was definitely the winning position. Just needed to be executed differently, in my opinion. But that was great. That's one of those games you're not too disappointed in them. I don't think. But now, INF are set to win this game for sure. They've got a really nice spread. Loops are in a pretty good position too, but I think it's going to be more likely that the zone shifts off of them and INF just have easier rotations, simply put.
top 6 situation here. We can see the zombie boy still alive. Julio all by himself at the very south side of the ring. Loops, they are still at that mountain range, all 4 up. ATON, 3 players alive for them. The only real threat to Loops is the 4 players from INF. Also, thank you for the caster curse. Their call out from the voice of God himself, letting me know that Zombie Boys gets eliminated. All my hopes and dreams dashed by the wayside. The hype speech in the locker room for naught.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen since the last circle, INF have just been controlling the most ground in the best way. And just as I said at the start of the game, whoever's going to do that going into the last couple of circles is the one that gets to win. So I think INF are going to win this easy peasy. This north side is fighting each other. All they got to do is play a little cleanup. And Loops and ATON are going to end up fighting each other too, of course. And they're on the hyper low ground. And as soon as this north side gets...
ATON is going to engage right here. Look at the minimap. You can see the engagement coming out from Loops and ATON. I think we need to go to that side of the map and try to get some eyes onto those fights, because that's going to be a pivotal fight for Loops to come out of pretty unscathed. They want to have a chance to go against INF on the opposite side of the map. INF, by the way, 11 eliminations. They are 1 behind Zombie Boys for most of this map 4, and it looks like every nade on the block is going out right now.
They're going to get a couple more, too, on this north side, I think.
The nade goes out.
Loops need to try to wipe this fast and clean before INF have a chance to clear the north side and start getting aggressive. Because as soon as they clear this north side, they're gonna spread out. Ooh.
Bruno there with a big nade knock, and Ayala, bottom side of the mountain, has to look up at his teammates and not really have anything else he can do. This is going to be Mythic. Mythic last week with a 4v1. Pulls the first nade, now pulls the gun, goes for the quick switch. Won't be able to get that first knock. Nade in hand, fragmentation going to the top side of the map.
Oh, wow.
Throws it off of that first rock. Gets some damage, I believe, just a little bit, but not enough to really put that player in threat. Nades being traded back and forth. Mythic trying to go absolutely monumental for his team here. Bruno looking for another one, and that's going to be damage on, and we see Mythic just trying to fight this off. Federal, meanwhile, gets an elimination in that feed. And this is going to be the knock from Milos. Milos gets the knock on the Mythic, and they're going to try to answer back here with one of their own, but that's actually a dead man's hand grenade onto that player. Smokes out, and ATON already getting the carry over, the fireman's carry to try to get this revive. They're going to come out of this scathed, but not out of it entirely.
Yeah, see, now that INF cleared that north side, they're going to spread out. They're going to take whatever they want to take. Well, maybe not in the open. That's not ideal. Oh my gosh. That was suboptimal. I don't know why he's playing there, but they can do almost anything they want and win this game right now, except that.
Ayala from way away, my man. He had to be on a different continent. If you had to make that call, it's come and collect. I don't care about your cell service. On to Federal and shuts down the hopes and dreams of me as well.
That is the only way you can lose this game for them. I'm not gonna lie, but still, there's only 3 people left on ATON. It's a 3v3, and INF will definitely have the best position for the next game. Yep. This next circle, they're in. Everybody else has to go into the wide open. It should be free farming. It would be even better if Federal hadn't messed up, but, I guess it happens.
Ayala behind the tree has nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. Nade's
not much
coming
for you
in.
to do here.
You're looking to just try to maybe get one more long-range pick. Gets hit with some more explosive damage, and one more of those well-placed grenades could find them in an easy little kill, and an easy little elimination here. I believe Lil Boy might have gotten the knock there onto Bruno.
Yeah, he got a little trade.
Okay, Milos goes down now to Lil Boy. Lil Boy is just putting in work. You said INF had this easy peasy. I was looking for the lemon squeezy, my man.
Yeah, INF... they're choosing not to go aggressive on this. They're waiting. If they had Federal up, I think they for sure would have executed them right then and there. But they're playing passive. They're gonna let the circle do its work. All 3 of the ATON members in one car. Ayala on foot in the wide open.
Oh my gosh, Ayala, don't do it to him. Don't do it to him, Ayala. Wow. Don't do it to him. Ayala again survives and thrives. ATON Esports eliminated in 3rd place, 1v3 for the bread, uneven. You said INF has this easy peasy lemon squeezy. Now, is it so easy? is it gonna be but so easy? Because you seen Ayala in back-to-back situations put a whole team down.
Those mechanics were absolutely perfect. That was really great, but oh my gosh. It should be easy peasy. He doesn't have zone. He's got to run in the wide open. They've got 3 separate angles looking at him. You just wait until he's in the open and you take him out, but you never know. With Ayala hitting shots like that, let's see what happens. Really mechanically blessed player Ayala is. He's been for a long time. His montages are insane.
Oh, winner, chicken dinner. INF called by Uneven to be easily the dub of that map 4, and they come away with back-to-back wins to finish the night.
Yeah, great control there from them.
I'm gonna tell you something right now. I'll tell you what. When it comes to Ayala, right there at the end, all right. When you're by yourself, when you think all is lost, when you're down and out, when you are outnumbered, you know what you do? You know what you do, Colin?
Exactly what he did. You make somebody say "ay ay ay" when your name is Ayala.
Ay ay ay! I'll tell you what you do right now. You know what? You just go. You just do this. You know what I'm saying? Throw it up just like at the Battle of Montgomery. If you know, you know. Let's go ahead and take a look here at the match recap. I mean, this was absolute madness.
Yeah, man, what a play from Ayala. And we've seen these plays for years coming out of him. He's a really underrated player, I've always thought. Really cool guy, too. Really
Man,
cool
that was so clutch, you know. And then we see some nice plays here. I mean, it was the hype speech, Colin. That's what it was. Zombie Boys heard it. They turned up, and they actually put some good points on the board. Didn't finish the way we hoped, but still, it's good to see some signs of life here at the end from them, right?
Anytime you're getting 10 plus points in a game, it's a good game. It doesn't matter where you die. 10 plus kills, rather. It's a good game. Like, you want to shoot for that 10 point per game average, and they hit it. So I'd be happy if I was them.
Ooh, what about you, Colin?
I don't want to say I'm proud of them, but I am so very happy for them to see them come out in this map 4 and play the way that they did and do an absolute gut check of back-to-back squad eliminations. Those are the things that can make you feel good. My man Uneven has been talking about momentum shifts. You want to talk about putting the pendulum in your favor? Well, it's plays like that, and it's plays like this from Ayala. You can see in these last few moments, Federal said, I got to get out of here. He said, you ain't going nowhere. You stuck between me, Dwayne Johnson, and a rock, baby.
And that matchup was very good.
Yeah, and then obviously, you know, INF, once they get that end zone, they finish strong. And look at that, 16 eliminations. Woo, little boy, arms crossed, looking forward, saying, you know what? We're going to take it down here in week number 2. That's what I like to see there. So, Influence Rage coming in hard, all right? You know what? I think it's time to take a look here at the match report just to see where everybody lined up here at the end of it. It's a whole lot of little boy once again.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I saw those first 3 pop up. I said, don't do it to him. Back to back. Don't do it to him. You can do anything you want in life except this right here. But I'm happy Zombie Boys got that longest elimination. They show up and show out map 4. Let's go, baby.
An interesting thing to point out is that Lil Boy, both games, he had the same amount of knocks as he did eliminations, which means as soon as he gets those opportunities, he always finishes that, and that's a really good thing for the points. A lot of players will get a lot of knocks and won't be able to convert them, but he does it every time, 100% conversion rate, so from the last games I've seen at least.
What a monster, dude. 16 eliminations for them, 26 more points on the board. I think we're going to know where the leaderboards are going to end up at the end of the day here. ATON Esports, I'll tell you what, consistency, right?
Very
I mean,
consistent.
crazy to see them just always putting points here Uneven.
It's exactly what you want to see. You know, you want those consistent games when the zone doesn't bless you, and then when it blesses you, get those big blowout games, and that's how you win. It's not about having a ton of first places. It's about being in those top 5, top 3s every time, and when those first place comes, you know, don't mess it up.
Yes, sir, indeed. Hey, and speaking of not messing it up, right? Zombie Boys, we saw earlier with Dozen, YKG busting out the goose egg, but it's going to be Loops here in the lead, Colin, at the end of it. And, you know, we talked about consistency. This is a team that's been consistent all day today.
like a beautifully baked cake, all right? Loops has been consistent in the batter you've put in the oven. Everything they have tried has come out in spades for them, and I ain't talking the ace there in 11th spot. No, I'm talking about they had the winning hand. Most of the time for everybody else, it was coming up aces and eights, the dead man's hand. Loops on the back of plays from Ayala and Chiefs and my man Mythic have done nothing but overperform and outshine the field in the competition tonight.
Ooh, it's been absolute insanity. We saw there, Ayala busting out the Doyle Bruston, the 10 duck, all by himself, getting it done, putting up some big points on the board by himself. Uneven, right? After seeing the leaderboards at the end of that, do you see any other standout plays or any other, teams in general you think that really did well today?
Again, I know I talked about them before, but I want to say ATON. They're not getting those big wins, and they may be going under the radar, but every single game I've seen them consistently up there, and that's how you win tournaments. And next time that an opportunity comes and they get the win, they're in that perfect position to shoot up to first place. They're there, and they're playing really well. From what I've seen, I like their macro. I think they're playing the consistent play style. That's what I like to see in a team. I don't necessarily care about wins that much. They'll come.
Yeah, 100%. You know what? I think those are some of the scariest teams, right? Those teams that stay in that third, fourth place. They're not really, all eyes are not on them. Teams are focusing on the top team, things like that. And then last day, that squad just pops off and boom, they take the whole championship. We've seen it so many times before. So we take a look here at the results. And heck, at least we got one North American team get a chicken dinner today. Ain't that right, Colin?
At least we got one, but I am worried. Look, YKG, figuring out those first two maps with a second and a first, they fell off the face of the planet on Vikendi, on Erangel. It's one of those situations where we talk about consistency so much that I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but I am so concerned with the consistency of that team, especially late in tournaments, late in situations where they need to have one more good map to get them over the hump, and they drop a couple of goose eggs late in the day. I just can't see that. You got to get back to the drawing board and figure it out.
Yeah, and even when it comes to passion fruit, I think that's what they got to do as well. What are your thoughts on that, brother? You know what? We'll find out later, guys. Thank you so much for watching here, the Titan series. We're going to have another week coming up here right around the corner. Mark your calendars. Don't go anywhere, and we will see you guys next week. Thank you so much.